Stargate Book presents I Am, The Words of Count Saint-Germain by Count Saint-Germain. Audiobook edition and copyright 2024 by Stargate Book. All are rights reserved for this edition. I am. I am. To you who read, I speak. To you who for long years, wandering backward and forward, have ardently searched through books, teachings, philosophies, religions. You do not even know what. Truth, happiness, freedom, God. To you, weary and discouraged soul, almost without hope, who many times have grasped a glimmer of the truth sought, only to recognize that it vanished like the mirage in the desert. To you who thought you had found it in some great instructor, acknowledged head of a religion, fraternity, or society, and who seemed to you a master. So wonderful were his wisdom and his works only, to awaken later to the discovery that that master was only a human person, with flaws, weaknesses, and secret faults, though he might have been through splendid teachings that appeared to you as the highest truth. To you, tired and hungry again without guidance, to you I have come. And I have also come to you, who have begun to feel the presence of truth in your soul and seek confirmation of what struggles vaguely within you to express itself. Yes, to those who hunger for the true bread of life I have come. Are you ready to receive my food? If you are, make heart. Sit down. Calm your human mind and follow strictly my words spoken here. Or do you perhaps turn away, disappointed once more, with the bite of insatiable hunger in your heart? Me. Who am I, that I seem to speak with such conscious power and authority? Listen. I am you. That part of you that is and knows, that knows all things, that always knew and always was. I am you, the you self, that part of you that says I am and is I am. I am that higher part of yourself, which vibrates within you as you read, which responds to this word of mine, which perceives its truth, which recognizes by its very nature all truth, and discards all error wherever it is found. This I am, not that part of you which has hitherto fed on error. For I am your true instructor, the only one you will ever know, the only master. I, your divine self. I, your I am, bring you this message of mine, my living word, as I have brought you everything in life, book or teacher, poverty or wealth, bitter experience or love, for the purpose of teaching you that I alone, your true self, am your instructor, the only instructor and the only God who provides and has always provided for you, not only the bread and wine of life, but also everything that was needed for your physical, mental, and spiritual maintenance and development. Therefore, what appeals to you as you read is my message, dictated to your outer human consciousness from within, and it is only a confirmation of what the I am of you always knew inwardly, but had not yet translated into definite terms to your outer consciousness. So, too, all that ever appealed to you, coming from some external expression, was but the confirmation of my word already spoken within you. That external expression was the channel, the means chosen by me at that time to impress your human consciousness. But I am not your human mind, nor its son, intellect. They are only the expression of your being, as you are the expression of my being. They are only phases of your human personality, as you are a phase of my divine impersonality. Weigh and study these words carefully. Rise up and free yourself forever from the dominion of your personality, with your mind and its intellect so puffed up and exalted of themselves. For your mind, henceforth, must be your servant and your intellect your slave, if you want my word to penetrate the consciousness of your soul. I have come now to the consciousness of your soul, having stimulated it to prepare it to receive my word. If you are strong enough to bear it, if you can get rid of all your whims, all your beliefs, all your personal opinions, wreckage you have collected from the fields cultivated by others, if you are strong enough to throw them away, Then my word will be for you an inexhaustible source of joy and happiness. But be prepared for the fact that your personality will doubt these words of mine as you read them, for its life is threatened, and it knows that it cannot live and prosper, nor dominate your feelings, your coming and going any longer than before, if you accept my word in your heart and allow it to dwell there. Yes, I have come to you now to make you conscious of my presence, for I have already prepared your human mind so that it can, up to a certain point, understand the meaning of me. I have always been with you, but you did not know it. I expressly led you through the desert of books and teachings, religions and philosophies, always keeping before your soul's eyes the vision of the promised land, feeding you with the manna of the desert, so that you could remember and appreciate the bread of the Spirit and yearn for it. Now I have led you to the bank of the Jordan that separates you from your divine heritage. Now the time has come for you to know me consciously. The time has come for you to cross the river and pass into the land of Canaan, into the land of milk and honey. Are you ready? Do you want to go? Then follow this word, which is the ark of my covenant, and you will pass away with dry feet. Be calm and know. Now, in order for you to know me, and therefore be sure that it is I, your true self, who am saying these words, you must first learn to be calm, to quiet your human mind and body, and all their activities, until you are no longer conscious of them. It may be that you are not yet able to do this, but I will teach you, provided you really want to know me and are willing to prove it by trusting me and obeying me in what I am about to ask of you. Listen. Try to imagine the self speaking through these pages as your higher divine self, giving advice to your human mind and intellect, and considering these for the moment as a separate personality. Your mind is constituted in such a way that it cannot accept anything that does not conform to what it has first experienced or learned, and which its intellect does not consider reasonable. Therefore, in addressing it, you employ the terms and expressions most suitable to express clearly to your intellect the truths it must understand, before the mind can awaken to the consciousness of your intent. The fact is that this I is yourself, your real self. Your human mind has so far been so absorbed in the task of granting your intellect and body all sorts of favors that it has never had time to come to know you, its real Lord and Master. And meanwhile, you have been so interested in the pleasures and pains of your body and intellect, allowing yourself to be influenced by them, that you have almost come to believe that you are your intellect and body, and have consequently almost forgotten me, the divine self. I am not your intellect or your body, and this message is to teach you that you and I are one. The words I say here and the main purpose of these instructions is to awaken your consciousness to that great fact. But you cannot awaken to it until you come out of the consciousness of this body and intellect, which have so long held you in bondage. You must feel me within you before you know that I am there. Well then, in order for you to completely forget your mind, your thoughts, your body, and your sensations, so that you can feel me within you, it is necessary for you to follow my instructions scrupulously. Sit quietly in a relaxed state, and once completely quiet, let your mind absorb the meaning of these words, be calm, and know, I am God. Speak these words precisely as they are written here, trying to realize that it is your God who commands and demands from your mortal self implicit obedience. Study them and try to understand their hidden power. Without thinking, allow this divine command of mine to penetrate deeply into your soul. Then allow any other impressions that come to your mind to enter at its pleasure, without effort or interference on your part. But notice their meaning carefully, for it is I from within who instructs you by means of such impressions. Then when their meaning begins to appear to your consciousness, speak these words of mine slowly, imperatively, addressing them to every cell of your body, to every faculty of your mind, with all the conscious strength you possess. Be calm and know, I am God. Meditate deeply on these words and take them with you into your work, whatever it may be. Make them the dominant vital factor in your work and all your creative thoughts. Pronounce it 1,000 times a day until I have penetrated and discovered all its innermost meaning, until every cell in your body quivers in happy response to the command, "Be bald," and obey instantly, and every wandering thought that floats around your mind vanishes at once into nothingness. When my words resound through the cavern of your being that has become empty, when the sun of knowledge begins to rise on the horizon of your consciousness, then you will feel expanding within you the rush of a strange, wonderful breath that will fill all your mortal limbs to the utmost, making your senses almost explode with its ecstasy. Then thou shalt feel a mighty, irresistible force rise within thee, almost raising thee to the earth. Then thou shalt feel within thee the glory, the holiness, the majesty of my presence. Then you will know, I am God. When you have felt me like this in those moments within you, when you have tasted my power, heard my wisdom, and known the ecstasy of my all-embracing love, you can no longer be touched by any sickness, nor weakened by any circumstance, nor subdued by any enemy. For you will then know that I am within you, and from then on you will turn to me in all your needs, putting all your confidence in me, allowing me to express my will. And when you turn to me, you will always find in me, in your hour of need, ready and infallible help. For I will so fill you with the realization of my presence and power that you need only be calm and allow me to do whatever you wish, to heal your ills or those of others, to enlighten your mind so that you can see with my eyes the truth you seek, or to accomplish to perfection what before seemed almost impossible to you. But this knowledge, this realization, will not happen all of a sudden. It may not come for years. It may come tomorrow. This depends only on you, not on your personality, with its human desires and human understanding, but on your I am God within you. What is it that makes the flower blossom from the bud? What is it that makes the chick break its shell? Who sets the day and the hour? It is the conscious and natural act of the inner intelligence, of my intelligence, directed by my will, that brings my idea to maturity and expresses it in the flower and the chick. Do the flower and the chick have anything to do with this? No. They only submitted, united their will with mine, and allowed me and my wisdom to determine the hour in which the action would ripen. Only when they obeyed the impulse of my will and made the effort that I required them to make, could they move on to the new life. You can, with your personality, attempt 1,001 times to break out of the shell of your human consciousness, but you can succeed at most in breaking down the doors I have providentially placed between the world of tangible forms and the realm of intangible dreams. Once the doors are opened, you can no longer, without much trouble and suffering, keep intruders out of your private domain. But even this I sometimes allow, so that through such suffering you may acquire the strength you lack and the wisdom necessary to understand that only by laying down all desire for wisdom, goodness, and even union with me, for the benefit of yourself, can you unfold your petals manifesting my perfect beauty and cast off the shell of your human personality, passing into the radiant light of my heavenly kingdom. I therefore give you these instructions now, in the beginning, so that you can learn to recognize them. And I promise you here that if you accept the instructions I give you in these pages, and earnestly endeavor to understand them and put them into practice, you will soon know me, and I will make sure that you understand all my words, wherever they are written, in books or doctrines, in nature or in your fellow men. If it seems to you that there are contradictions in what is written here, search well for my real intent before rejecting it. Do not leave a single word, a single thought, until all that it suggests has become clear to you. But in all your search, in all your efforts, have faith in me, in your true inner self, and do not be impatient for results, for they are in my custody, and I will take care of them. Doubts and impatience are only of your personality, and if you allow them to persist, they will lead you to failure and disillusionment. I, Life God. If what you have read has awakened a response within you and your soul yearns to receive even more, then you are ready for the following. But if you still argue or rebel against the apparent claim of divine authority with which you are spoken to here, and your intellect tells you that this is only a new attempt to seduce your mind with sly suggestions and subtle sophistry, then you will have no benefit from these words, for their meaning is hitherto hidden from your mortal consciousness, and my word must come to you by other ways and in other forms. And it's good if your personality, with its intellect, makes you so argue and rebel against the authority you don't yet know is mine. But it is really I who make your personality thus rebel, for it, with its proud sense of separation, is still necessary for me to develop a mind and body strong enough to express myself perfectly. And until you are prepared to know me, it is your mission, given to you by me, to argue and rebel. But from the instant you recognize my authority, the personality's imperium begins to be undermined. Its days are numbered, and you will turn more and more to me for guidance and help. So don't be dismayed. Just keep reading, and maybe recognition will come. Know that you can read and not read, as you wish, but that however you do, it is really I who choose, and not you. For you, who apparently choose not to read further, I have other plans. In due time you will learn that whatever you do, or like, or desire, it is I who lead you through the deceptions and illusions of personality, so that you may finally awaken to their unreality and turn to me as the one and only reality. Then these words will be answered within you, be still, and know, I am God. Yes, I am the innermost part of you, dwelling within and waiting and watching, knowing neither space nor time. For I am the Eternal One, and I fill all space. I watch and wait for you to be weary of your follies, vain lusts, ambitions, and regrets, knowing that all will come in due time. Then you will turn to me discouraged, empty and humble, and ask me to take the lead, not knowing that always it was I who led you. I stand in here quietly waiting for this to happen. As well, while waiting, it was I who directed your conduct, who inspired all your thoughts, all your actions, using and manipulating them impersonally so as to bring you, and my other mortal expression, to conscious recognition of me. I have always been inside you, deeply, inside your heart. I have been with you through everything, your joys and your sorrows, your successes and your mistakes, through your wickedness and your shame, through the crimes against your brothers and against God that you believe you have committed. Whether you proceeded forward, deflected, or retreated, it was I who propelled you. It was I who propelled you forward by showing you some glow of me at a distance and with blurred outlines. It was I who enticed you with the vision of me in some enchanting face, in some beautiful body, in some intoxicating pleasure, or in some overwhelming ambition. It was I who appeared to you in the guise of sin, of weakness, of greed, of sophistry, and drew you back into the cold arms of conscience, leaving you to struggle in its gloomy clutches, until you, awakened to your helplessness, shook yourself in disgust and, inspired by the new vision, tore off my mask. Yes, it is I who make you do all that you do, and, can you understand this? It is I who do all that you do and all that your brother does, for in you and in it all that is I myself. For I am the life. It is I who animate your body, who make your mind think, and who make your heart beat. It is I who draw to you pleasure or pain, whether of the flesh, intellect, or emotions. I am the intimate, the spirit, the animating cause of your being, of all life, of all living things visible and invisible, and there is nothing that is dead. For I, the impersonal one, am all that exists. I am infinite and boundless. The universe is my body. All the intelligence that is in it emanates from my mind. All the love that is in it flows from my heart. All the force that acts in it is but my will in action. The threefold force, which manifests itself as all wisdom, all love. All strength, or, if you prefer, as light, heat, and energy. That which maintains all forms and is in and behind all expressions and all aspects of life, whether creative, cohesive, or destructive, is but the manifestation of myself in the act and state of being. Nothing can be without manifesting and expressing some aspect of me, that I am not only the builder of all forms, but the one who dwells in each. In the heart of each I dwell, in the heart of man, in the heart of the animal, in the heart of the flower, in the heart of the stone. In the heart of each I live, move, and have my being, and from the heart of each I express that aspect of me which I wish to express, and which manifests itself in the external world as a stone, a flower, an animal, a man. What exists, then, except this great I? But you ask, is therefore no individuality allowed to me? No, there is nothing, absolutely nothing that is not a part of me, eternally dominated and ruled by me, the one indefinite reality. As for your so-called individuality, it is nothing but your personality still trying to preserve a separate existence. But soon you will know that there is no individuality separate from my individuality, and that all personality vanishes in my divine impersonality. You will soon reach that awakened state in which you can have a glimmer of my impersonality, and then you will no longer desire for yourself any individuality, any separation, for you will have realized that it is only and still an illusion of personality. The key. It is possible that you may not yet know that I am, that you may not believe that I am you truly, and that I am equally your brother and sister, and that you are all parts of me and one with me. You may not recognize that your soul, and that of your siblings, the only truly imperishable parts of your mortal self, are only different aspects of me, expressed in so-called nature. So too it may be that you may not understand that you and your brothers are aspects or attributes of my divine nature, precisely as your human personality, with its mortal body, mind, and intellect, is an aspect of your human nature. No, you cannot yet understand this, but I am telling you about it now so that you may know the signs when they begin to appear in your consciousness, as they will certainly appear. But in order to recognize these signs, you must carefully study and meditate on the following, and not pass over until you have, at least in part, grasped what I want to tell you. Once you understand well the principle that I establish here, my whole message becomes clear and comprehensible. I give you first of all the key with which you will open every mystery that now hides from you the secret of my being. When you have learned to use it, this key will open to you the gates of all wisdom, of all power in heaven and on earth. Indeed, it will open to you the door to the kingdom of heaven, and you will only have to enter to consciously become one like me. This key is, to think is to create. This can be expressed as follows: you are as you think in your heart. Stop and meditate on this so that it becomes firmly fixed in your mind. A thinker is a creator. He lives in a world of his own conscious creation. When you know how to think, you can create at will whatever you want: a new personality, a new environment, a new world. Let's see if you can grasp some of the hidden truths dominated by this key. I have shown you how all consciousness is one, and how that consciousness is at the same time yours, that of the animal, the plant, the stone, and the invisible cell. You have seen how this consciousness is governed by my will, which unites the invisible cells, forms the various bodies for the expression and use of the different intelligence centers through which I wish to express myself. But you cannot yet understand how you can dominate and direct the consciousness of the cells of your body, and more so, those of the other bodies, although you and I and they are all one in consciousness and intelligence. By paying close attention to the following, you can succeed in understanding it. Have you ever pondered what consciousness is? How it appears to be an impersonal state of attention, an expectation to serve or be used by some latent power within you and in intimate relation to you? And how many appear to be the highest type of organism containing such consciousness, directed and used by this inner power, and that such power, latent in human consciousness as much as in any other, is only my will? You have been told that in the beginning I created man in my image and likeness, that I then breathed into him the breath of life, and he became a living soul. By creating man in my image and likeness, I created an organism capable of expressing all my consciousness and will, my power, my intelligence, and all my love. I made him perfect from the beginning, shaping him according to my perfection. When I blew into the human organism, my breath, it became alive with me, for in that instant I breathed into it my will not from without, but from within, from the kingdom of heaven wherever I am. And from then on, I always breathed and lived and had existence within man, having created him in my image and likeness for that purpose. Therefore, wherever man is I am, and whatever man does or you do, it is I who do it, and whatever you say or think, it is I who say and think through your organism. You were also told that when man was thus imbued with my breath, he was given dominion over all the kingdoms of the earth, which means that he was made Lord of the earth, the sea, the air, and the ethers, and that all living beings in all these kingdoms paid homage to him and were subject to his will. Of course it was so, for I, within human consciousness, and within all consciousness, continually manifest my will, and I, the Lord and regulator of the organism of man, am also Lord and regulator of all organisms in which consciousness dwells. And since all consciousness is my consciousness, and dwells wherever it is life, and since there is no substance in which it is not life, my consciousness must be in everything, in earth, water, air, and fire, and must therefore fill all space. Indeed, it is space, or what man calls space. My will, being the latent power in all consciousness, must extend everywhere. Therefore, man's will, which is only a localization of my will, must also extend everywhere. And therefore the consciousness of all organisms, including your own, is subject to man's dominion and direction. It is only necessary for him to realize consciously that I, the prevailing self within him, continuously direct, dominate, and use the consciousness of all organisms at every moment, every day of their lives. And I do this through his thinking. I do this through man's organism. He thinks, but it is I, his real self, who thinks by means of his organism. And by means of the act of thinking, I accomplish all that man accomplishes and make man and his world what they are. It does not matter that man and his world are not what he supposes. They are precisely as I have created them for my purpose. But you will say, if it is always this one, I, who thinks, man does not think and cannot think. Yes, this seems a mystery, but it will be revealed to you if you will carefully observe the following. For I now teach you, man, how to think. Thinking is creating. I said that man does not think, that it is I within him who think. I also said that man thinks he thinks. Since this is, on the face of it, a contradiction, I will show you that man normally does not think, any more than he does everything else that he supposes he does. For I, within him, do everything that he does, but I do it necessarily by means of his organism, his personality, his body, his mind, and his soul. I will now try to make you understand how this can be. Remember first of all that I made you in my image and likeness, and that I have my being within you. But you don't believe that yet. You believe that I, God, is somewhere outside of you, that we are separate. Moreover, what you do when you think is not really thinking, because it is not conscious thinking, you being unconscious of me, the inspirer, the executive of every idea, every thought that enters your mind. Again, since I am in you and you are made in my image and likeness, and therefore possess all my faculties, you can think, but not being conscious of the fact that to think is to create, and that in thinking you employ one of my divine powers. You have indeed thought throughout your life, but you have thought wrongly, that is, you have thought what you would call error. This mistaken thinking has increasingly separated you from me, while fulfilling my plan, which will be manifest to you further on. The proof of this is that you believe that you are separate from me and live in a material world, that your flesh body produces and welcomes pleasure and pain, and that an evil influence called the devil is manifested in the world which opposes my will. And so it is with you, for everything is, to man, as he thinks or believes it to be. And it is also I who have made it appear to man as if it were what he thinks it is. This is also in view of my intent, and to fulfill the law of creation. For if you believe that a thing is a certain way, is it not it? For you, really so? If a thing seems real to you, be it joy or sorrow, trouble or worry, or any other thing, condition or experience, is it not it real to you only because your thinking and believing it to be so makes it so to you? But it seems real only to you. Others may think it entirely different, may they not? And if so, then your body, your personality, your character, your environment, your world, are as they appear to you only because you have thought of them as such. You can then change them by the same process if you don't like them, can't you? And you can make them however you like by thinking of them as such. But you ask, how can one actually think, consciously think, in such a way as to produce this change? Know first of all that I, your real self, have expressly drawn your attention to these things that now displease you, and let you think of them as they now seem to you. I alone thus prepare your human mind, so that when you turn inwardly to me with enduring faith, I can enable you to understand and manifest outwardly the reality of the things that now seem so unsatisfactory to you. For I bring to you everything that, by its outward appearance, can attract or allure your human mind and propel it forward in its earthly quest, for the purpose of instructing you concerning the illusory nature of all material appearances and the fallibility of all human judgment, so that you will finally turn inwardly to me, to my wisdom, as the one and only interpreter and guide. And when you have thus turned to me within, I will open your eyes and show you that the only way to bring about this change in thinking is to first change your attitude toward all these things that you now think are not what they should be. That is, if they are not satisfactory or seem blameworthy to you and touch you to the point of bringing you pain or disturbance of mind, well, cease to think that they may grieve or disturb you. Who, in short, is the master? Your body, your mind, or you, the inner self? Then why not show that you are the master by thinking the real things that the I am within you wants you to think? All things affect you only insofar as you think of them and give them the power to disturb or bore you. If you cease to think that they have this power, turn within me and allow me to direct your thinking. They will immediately disappear from your consciousness and dissolve into the nothingness from which you, in thinking them, drew them. When you are willing to do this, only then will you be ready to recognize the truth, and through conscious thinking directed by me, to create in their place the true and permanent things that I, within, desire you to create. Then, when you know how to distinguish the true from the false, the real from the apparent, Your conscious thinking will be powerful enough to create everything you desire, as your unconscious thinking has been in creating in the past those things that you once desired and now find hateful. For it was because of your unconscious thinking, or your thinking without having consciousness of the dominion your desires exercised over your creative powers, that your world and your life are now what you sometime in the past wished them to be. Have you ever studied and analyzed the process by which your mind works when a new fertile idea of possibility appears to it? Have you noticed the relationship that desire has with that idea, and how by thinking about it eventually comes to fruition? Let us study this relationship, this process. First of all, there is always an idea, not considering now the necessity or the occasion for which it appeared. And it does not matter where it comes from, whether from within or without, for in every way it is I who inspire it and cause it to impress your consciousness at that particular moment. Then, precisely to the extent that you focus on it, arresting all the activities of your mind and eliminating all other ideas and thoughts from your consciousness, so that it can have full reign over that idea, I enlighten your mind and cause to unfold before it the various aspects, the various possibilities that it contains. All this takes place up to this point without the concurrence of your will, except in focusing, in concentrating your attention on that idea. But once I have given your human mind a perspective of its possibilities and drawn your interest to it, then your personality becomes responsible. Then it must assume its task, for as I created and generated that idea, so in the very act I generated in it the power to create and generate desire to bring to external manifestation all the possibilities of the idea itself. Desire then becomes the mortal agent of my will and provides the driving force, precisely as the human personality is the mortal instrument employed to compel and focus that power. Thus, first arises the idea in the mind, then arises the desire to realize it. That is as far as the relationship is concerned. Let us now come to the process of realization. Depending on the precision with which the mind grasps the image of the idea, and to the extent that the idea possesses personality, it proceeds in its work the creative power, under the impulse of desire. And it does this by forcing the mortal mind to think or imagine, or, in other words, to construct mental forms into which I can, as if in a vacuum, pour the vital, elemental, impersonal force of the idea, which immediately begins to realize itself, first directing and dominating the consciousness and all the activities of the mind and body, and of all the minds and bodies that are related to it, and then attracting, guiding, shaping things and events, so that sooner or later that idea can have definite and tangible manifestation. Thus everything, every condition, every event, was first an idea in the mind. Think about this and do the test yourself. Take any idea and follow it through the whole process, from its first appearance to its realization, or take any act you have done, any work of art of yours, any invention of yours, or anything or condition now existing, and trace it back to its origin, to the first idea from which it started. This is the process of all true thinking, and thus of all creation. In other words, you have now and have always had, by the power of thought, dominion over all the realms of the earth. If only you knew you have now, at this moment, only to think or utter word, and the expectant consciousness of all the invisible cells of all matter on which your will and attention are focused, will immediately begin to obey and act according to the image or plans you have prepared by thinking them. Once you are persuaded of this, and know that the consciousness of the I am in you is one with the consciousness of all animate and inanimate matter, and that its will is one with yours, which is my will, then you will begin to know and feel me within and recognize the power and splendor of my idea, which eternally expresses itself, impersonally through you. But first it is absolutely necessary for you to learn how to think, to distinguish your thoughts, those directed by me within from the thoughts of others, to trace back to their source the source of thoughts, to banish from your consciousness those that are undesirable, and finally, to master and use your desires so that they always serve you instead of making you their slave. You have in you all possibilities, for I am in you. My idea must express itself through you. It will express itself perfectly if you allow it. If you calm your human mind, if you put aside your personal ideas, beliefs, and opinions, and let it flow from outside. You only have to turn inward to me, and let me direct your thinking. Let me express whatever I want, personally accepting and doing what I want you to do. Then there will be great harmony in your life. Your world will become a paradise, and you yourself will become one with me. When you have begun to realize this and have had a glimmer of its intimate significance, you will be ready to grasp the value of the following. The Word. Let us now take the key and see how the plan and process now described are those by which the world came into existence, and how the earth and all it contains, including you and your brothers, are but external manifestations of an idea, of my idea, which is now being thought of in expression of life. Know first of all that I, the Creator, am the original thinker, the one and only thinker. As has been said before, man does not think. It is I who thinks through his organism. Man thinks he thinks, but before he has awakened to the realization of me within, he merely takes the thoughts I attract to him or inspire in his mind. Deceiving himself around their real meaning and purpose, he builds on them a personal edifice, and with the selfish desires thus aroused, creates from himself all his afflictions, all his troubles. But all these apparent errors, these false concepts, these hindrances, are really only obstacles that I place in his way, so that he will overcome them, and so that, precisely in the effort to overcome them, he will eventually develop a strong body and mind capable of perfectly and consciously expressing this idea of mine, which acts eternally in his soul. Man is thus only the organism that I prepare in order to be able, through it, to manifest the perfection of my idea. He provides the personality with his body, mind, and intellect, by means of which I can express this idea, and the physical brain by which I can think it into external manifestation. I sow in the human brain any idea, and it grows, develops, and comes to complete maturity and external fructification. But not until the man has become capable of no longer attaching anything personal to the idea I have inspired and expressed through him, not until he has completely surrendered his personality to me. I now sow in your brain an idea. May it grow and develop and mature into the splendid harvest of wisdom that awaits you. But you must let me direct its development and expression through you. In one of my other revelations, called the Bible, much is said about the Word, but very few, even among the most learned Bible scholars, clearly understand what I mean. It is said that, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So he was in the beginning concerning God. All things were made by him, and without him no thing was made." You will now learn here how my Word was in the beginning, how it was with me, and how it was I, myself, how all things were made by me and my Word, and that without me and my Word, nothing that exists was made. Well, the Word, according to the human intellect, is a symbol of an idea. That is, it represents, gives body, expresses an idea. You see, are a word, the symbol of an idea. Thus, a diamond, a violet, a horse. If you are able to discern the idea behind the symbol, you know the soul, that is, the reality of the manifestation that appears as a man, a diamond, a violet, a horse. So, word, in the above quotation, means idea, a latent, unmanifested idea waiting to be expressed or thought of in one form or another. So the Word that was in the beginning and was with me was not just an idea, but my idea of myself in expression, in a new state and condition that you call earthly life. This idea was I, for it was part of me, being still latent and unmanifest within me, for it was the substance, essence of my being, which is itself an idea, the one, original idea. All things were made by me through the vitalizing action of this idea of mine, thought in expression. Nothing in earthly life was or can ever be expressed without having my idea as its first and fundamental cause, as the principle of its being. This idea of mine is now in the process of development, that is, of being thought into external expression. Some call this process evolution. Precisely as first the bud sprouts from the trunk, and then the bud is formed, then the flower opens, obeying the impulse to express my idea concealed within its soul. Precisely so will I develop all my instruments of expression, which, finally brought together, will fully represent my idea, expressing it from their souls in the splendor of its perfection. At present these instruments are of such a nature that to express my idea they require many languages, many types, from the simplest to the most complex, and composed of an almost infinite number of words. But when I have completely externalized my idea, that is, I have perfected my many instruments of expression, then my idea will shine in every word, each being in fact a perfect part or aspect of my idea, all chosen and arranged so as to be really one word, radiating the sublime intelligence of my intent. Then tongues will have mingled and merged into one language, all words into one word, for all instruments will have become flesh, and all flesh will have become one flesh, that is, the perfect instrument for the complete expression of my idea in one word. Then my idea, having a chance to be expressed by those perfect words, will shine through its instruments of expression, through the personalities, their bodies, their minds, their intellects, and the word will have become flesh, that is, it will be flesh. Which means that all words, through the regenerating power of my idea, will have evolved through the flesh, transmuting it, spiritualizing it, and making it so pure and transparent that the personality will no longer have anything earthly in it that could prevent its impersonal expression. Then my intent will be able to radiate perfectly and become fully manifest, thus amalgamating all words and all flesh again into one word. The word that was in the beginning and now shines through all created flesh as the Son of Glory. This is the plan and purpose of my creation and all manifested things. A glimmer of the process of my creation, that is, of thinking my idea of myself in earthly expression, will be given by the following, my idea. You have been told that the earth and all things belonging to it are only the external manifestation of my idea, which is now in the process of being thought into perfect expression. You have been shown that my idea is responsible for all created things and that it is the cause and reason for all manifestations, including you and your fellow human beings, since they were all thought into existence by me, the original thinker and creator, the One. We will now trace the course of that idea from the beginning, through its various stages of earthly expression, and so too the process of my thinking that idea in its present state of manifestation. If you will carefully consider the following and allow me, within, to direct your meditation over its inner meaning, it will appear to you not only the method of creating with thought whatever you wish to create, but also how you came into existence and arrived at your present state of manifestation. In the beginning, when, after a day of rest that lasted untold eons, at the dawn of a new cosmic day the consciousness of the world was barely awake, and the calm of cosmic night still reigned, I, the thinker, conceived my idea. This idea of myself, in manifestation in a new condition called earthly expression, I saw it fully depicted in the mirror of my omniscient mind. In this mirror I saw the real earth shining, radiating brightly in the cosmos, a perfect sphere where all the infinite phases, attributes, and powers of my divine nature, found perfect expression through the work of angels of light, living messengers of my will, my word in the flesh, as it is in the heavenly world of the eternal. All this I saw reflected in my all-seeing, all-knowing mind, which could only see and reflect the soul of things, that is, their reality. So what I saw depicted in my mind was the real earth, its beginning, its conception into cosmic existence. Now my consciousness is the intimate essence of all space of all life. It is the real substance of my mind that includes and pervades everything, whose informing and vitalizing center is everywhere, and whose limits and circumference are nowhere. Only in the realm of my mind do I live, move, and have my being. It contains and fills all things, and every vibration and manifestation of it is but the expression of some phase or aspect of my being. Being is expression. One cannot imagine existence without expression. So I, all that is, am continuously expressing myself. Expressing what? But if I am all that is, what else could I express but myself? You cannot yet see or understand me, but you can understand when I inspire you with an idea. Therefore, if I am all that exists, that idea that is directed by me must be a part, an aspect of myself in existence, that is, in expression. Any idea, once born in the realm of my mind, immediately becomes, as I have shown you, a reality. For in the eternity of my being, time does not exist. In you, however, the idea first creates desire, the desire to express that idea. Then desire compels thought. Thought promotes action, and action produces results, that is, the idea in actual external manifestation. But I have no desires, because I am all things, and all things come from me. I have only to think to produce results. Purely that desire that you feel comes from me, because it was born of my idea, which I sowed in your mind only so that it could manifest itself through you. Indeed, whatever you desire is only my idea pressing in you to externalize itself. What in me might seem to you a desire to express itself is only the necessity of my idea of myself to be, that is, to express itself. Therefore, any real desire you feel, it must necessarily at one time or another and in some way be fulfilled. What is called desire in human personalities is but the necessary action of my will, which drives my idea to express itself in external manifestation, that is, in existence. But since I have no desire and am all things, once this idea of expressing myself in this new condition was born, I had only to think, that is, to concentrate, to focus my will on my idea, that is, as it is said in my other revelation, to utter the creative word, and immediately the cosmic forces of my being, set in motion by the concentration of my will, proceeded to gather the necessary elements from the eternal reserve of my mind, and, with my idea as the nucleus, shaped, combined, and molded around it, these elements into what is called the thought form of a planet, filling it with my substance of life, my consciousness, and endowing it with all the potentialities of my being. But this act of thinking produced only the vitalized thought form of a planet, and its manifestation was only in a nebulous state in the realm of thought. From the thought form, the internal life-giving power of the idea, with my will localized upon it, proceeded to mold, form, and little by little solidify into material form the various elements of the substance of thought, until my idea appeared in manifestation in the world of visible forms as the planet called Earth, an instrument ready to be living expression and now capable of containing and expressing me. This was the material body prepared by my thought, and in which already lay latent all the potential nature of my being, by virtue of the formative power of my inner idea. The stage following was the development and preparation of the instruments, by means of which I could express in multiple aspects the possibilities and powers of my idea. The mineral, vegetable, and animal kingdoms successively marked the process of this manifestation, and developed time after time higher and more complex states of consciousness, which enabled me to express more and more clearly the infinite aspects and varieties of my nature. It was at this point that, as is said in my other revelation, I looked at my creation and saw that it was good. But it still remained the last and culminating means of expression. Up to this point, while each instrument or means of expression perfectly expressed some aspect of my nature, all, however, were unconscious of me, and were means of expression only as a wire is to heat, to light, to energy. The conditions were ripe now for the creation of a medium through which my divine attributes could find conscious expression, conscious not only of their relation to me, but also of their capacity and power to express my idea. At that moment, you and your brethren were born into existence in time as human expressions, coming into manifestation, like the other instruments, in response to my concentrated thought in which I saw the whole infinite variety of my attributes really expressed in entitized forms, and each particularly expressing some aspect of my being, and each conscious of me, its thinker and expresser. I used to see you in perfect expression as I see you now, you real, an attribute of myself, perfect. For in reality, you are an angel of light, one of the rays of my thought, an attribute of my being, involuted in earthly conditions, with no other purpose, which is no purpose at all, but a necessity of my being, except that of being the ultimate and complete expression of my idea. In the eternal, there is no time, no space, and no individuality, and it is only through the phenomenon of thought, born from the matrix of mind in the world of matter, that the illusions of time, space, and individuality arise, and that thought, that is, the creature, achieves the consciousness of separation from its thinker or creator. Thus was born in you the first tendency to think of yourself as separate from me, but the complete consciousness of separation did not occur until much later. In the beginning, when you thus first entered into earthly expression, obeying the impulse that I had emanated through my concentrated thought, you, one of my attributes, surrounded yourself, clothed yourself with my idea of myself in expression as the particular attribute that you represented, you being the animating force of that idea. In other words, my idea of myself in expression as that particular attribute then became the soul of your particular expression. But that idea or soul is not you, remember, since you are a part of me, being myself in expression, by means of that particular attribute. Once my idea had clothed yourself, it, by the necessity of its being, immediately began to attract to itself the thought substance necessary for the expression of that particular attribute, and to shape and build it in my image and likeness. It thus became a sacred temple, filled with my living presence, for it was inhabited by you, one of my divine attributes. This temple, made in my image and likeness, composed of my substance thought, surrounding and covering my idea, is consequently your real body. It is indestructible, immortal, perfect. It, my projected thought-containing living essence, awaits the time when it can express itself outwardly and take material form. Therefore, first, I am that is expressed as you, one of my divine attributes. Second, my idea of you, one of my attributes expressed in earthly conditions, that is, your soul. Third, my imagined thought of you, forming the temple of your soul, that is, the body of your soul in which you dwell. These three form the divine or impersonal part of you, the immortal Trinity, you, my latent thought, already fully formulated, shaped in my image and likeness, but not yet vivified, and therefore lacking connection with the human personality, which has not yet been born. The Garden of Eden. Whether or not you have fully grasped what you have now been told, do not dismiss it as impossible to understand. For in each line is hidden a meaning that will compensate you 1,000 times over for the study needed to clarify it. This message is meant to awaken you to the understanding of who you are, of your real self, to make you conscious again of me, of your divine self, conscious so that never again can you be deceived by that other self, which you imagined was you and which so long lured you, feeding you with its never-satisfying sense pleasures, with its mental dissipations and emotional enjoyments. But before this can take place, it will be necessary for you to know entirely this supposed other self, which you created by thinking it real and separate from me, and then kept alive by giving it the power to flatter and deceive you. Yes, that self-created self with its pride, its ambition, its imaginary, purely selfish power, its love of life and things, with its desire to be reputed as good and wise, but which is only your personality born only to die as a separate entity, and which, as such, has no reality or permanence greater than leaf, snow, or cloud. You will be brought face to face with this petty personal self, and we will discover, with perfect vision, all its sordid selfishness, all human vanity, and you will learn then, if you turn to me and question me with simple faith and trust, that it is I, the infinite impersonal part of you, dwelling always within you, who points out to you all these illusions of personality which for so long have separated you in consciousness from me, your glorious divine self. This realization will certainly come if you recognize that this message comes from me and if you resolve to follow it. To you, to whom I inspire this resolve, I will make all illusions disappear, and you will know me in truth. Exercising your mind in this direction of abstract thinking will not harm you. On the contrary, it is precisely what your mind needs. For only when you can grasp what I mean, when it is presented to you from the outside and in the form of the ideas expressed here, will you be able to perceive and interpret my idea exactly when I inspire you inwardly. I thus prepare your mind that you may employ it not to acquire greater earthly knowledge, but that you may receive and scatter my heavenly knowledge among those whom I shall lead to you for that purpose. Thus, with an invocation to me, to your real self, to your inner God, this realization may come to you. So let us proceed, that you may see the truth in this exposition and in all things, conditions and experiences that may come to you. In the course of our considerations around the process of the development of my idea, we have reached the point where the I am of you manifested in the body of your immortal soul, that is, in the image of thought created by my thinking, is ready to enter into a material form, a form suitable for the earthly expression of my attributes. This change, from a mental to a material form, took place in the same manner and by the same process as all creation, that is, by means of thought, and is literally described in the Bible. Must it is said that I formed man with the dust of the earth, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Shall I explain again what took place? The life-giving power within my idea, your soul, proceeded to draw to itself the various elements of the earthly substance, dust, and to mold and shape them, atom by atom, cell by cell, into bones, tissues, and organs, according to the pattern of the image-thought component body of your soul, thus forming an outer covering until your mortal form became truly manifest to the psychic senses of the outer world, if not yet to the physical eyes. Then you, my attribute, blew in and then into its nostrils, from within, the breath of life, and made your first appearance on earth as a tangible human being who had become a living soul. My idea could now express itself consciously by means of a suitable earthly instrument, containing in yourself all my attributes, all my powers, and all my possibilities. Thus were manifested all the various instruments for the earthly expression of my idea, and you, being one of my attributes, naturally had empire over all these instruments. That is, you had the power to employ each and every one of them as needed, for the full and complete expression of your energies and possibilities, that is, of my attribute. In this way and for this reason alone, you and your brothers came to human expression. But although you were in human form, your expression was nevertheless so impersonal that, however semi-conscious, you sought only in me, within, inspiration and guidance. These were the conditions under which you awoke upon entering earthly expression, and this is called the Edenic state, that is, dwelling in the Garden of Eden. This Edenic state represents the heavenly phase of impersonal consciousness, that is, that state in which you were still consciously one with me, albeit confined in a mortal vehicle of expression. I will not describe to you in detail how and why it became necessary for me to cast you now, man, out of the Garden of Eden, O humanity. I will only remind you of the part that desire plays in earthly expression and its relation to my will. Once you have resolved and understood, at least in part, the reason for this, then perhaps you will understand the necessity of the fall of your consciousness, i.e., that of humanity, into a deep sleep, you being near the end of another cycle, called the cosmic day, and to find yourself, upon your awakening, no longer externally one but two, an active, thinking, aggressive part, later called a man, and a passive, sensory, receptive human matrix, a woman. And you will also understand the necessity of some earthly influence coming to draw your consciousness from purely heavenly delights to this new condition, so that you could focus on your earthly mission, that is, your mortal expression. You will understand the wisdom that generated this influence first in your passive, sensory, and receptive part, by means of the serpent of suggestion, the form I made my idea take in your mind, and how thus was born desire, the mortal agent of my will, which was to provide the motive energy for the further and complete expression of my attributes on earth. And finally, the necessity for desire to cast upon you, upon humanity, its enchantment, that your heavenly and impersonal nature should be kept aside, as if in abeyance, until, by the free but ignorant use of my will, you could taste and eat entirely the fruit of the so-called tree of the science of good and evil, and learn thus to discern and know well those fruits for what they really are, and to acquire the necessary strength to use the science, thus acquired, wisely and perfectly, and only for the expression of my idea. You can perhaps now similarly understand how your humanity's eyes were opened to the things of the earth as soon as you tasted this fruit and the consequent knowledge of good and evil. How as a result of this, the knowledge of the reality behind them disappeared, and how and why you realized that you were naked of your thinking and sensory parts, and also why you were afraid. Now perhaps you can understand why all this had to happen, why you, humanity, had to leave the Edenic state of impersonal consciousness and lose yourself completely in these earthly conditions in order to become capable of creating a body and developing in it a personal consciousness, a self capable of fully expressing my perfection. Thus your human personality was born, and from its birth onward I have urged you to nurture, maintain, and strengthen it, filling you with yearnings, hopes, aspirations, all the various manifestations of desire, which are only the human aspects of my will, working to prepare and develop an instrument capable of perfectly expressing my attributes on earth. So I drove you out of the Garden of Eden, clothed you in a garment of skin, or, in other words, of flesh, like other animals. For in order to enter the heart of earthly conditions, and thus vivify an expression of active life, my idea, you, my attribute, had to possess an organism and an envelope, clothing suited to the conditions in which you were about to manifest yourself. By giving you a robe of skin, that is, a physical organism, I also provided my idea with a form suitable for earthly expression. I gave you the power to express it by means of a physical organism, by means of words. In the impersonal, no words are needed. Only ideas exist and express themselves. They are simply, since they are the expression of the various aspects of my being. But in the new condition, in which every expression in the primitive stages of external existence had to have form and substance in order to be heard, seen, felt, tasted, or touched, so that its meaning could be clearly apprehended, it was necessary, of course, to provide an organism capable of being used for the dual purpose, to express and to understand what it expressed. As my idea developed, after your expulsion from Eden, you, one of my divine attributes, dwelling within my idea of that attribute in expression, idea dwelling in turn in the image thinking of myself, and finally manifesting outwardly in the earthly form of words, when you received the impulse of my will in the form of desire to express my intent, you, I say, began to grow and multiply rapidly. And in your search for the most favorable conditions for the manifestation of your particular attributes, you spread little by little over the entire face of the earth, awakening and exciting the intelligence latent in all forms of life with which you came in contact, to a fuller and more active expression of their particular aspect of my idea. Thus were formed the various languages of earth, each containing many words, all born out of the desire of the human mind to express in earthly terms the infinite aspects of my idea that always flow from within. And the more the human mind strove to put my idea into words, the greater, the more miserable were its failures. The day of the great awakening will come, when it will be seen that all words are merely symbols of an idea, and that all ideas of whatever nature are but aspects of an idea, my idea of myself in expression, and that any desire to express in words that idea, unless inspired solely by the consciousness of my will, is insubstantial. So, too, any desire to express in living actions that idea without completely losing consciousness of the human personality, of your personal part in the action, without concentrating your whole self in me, is vain and fruitless, and will only end in failure, in disillusionment, in humiliation.
Good and evil.
In the Garden of Eden, where you dwelt before you embarked on your earthly mission, there grew a tree whose fruit is called the knowledge of good and evil. During your abode in that Garden of Eden, you were completely impersonal because you had not yet tasted that fruit. But once you succumbed to desire, which is the earthly agent of my will and whose main task is precisely to induce you to taste that fruit, you, as soon as you ate it, fell, that is, you were forced out of your Edenic state, like the chick from the shell and the rose from the bud, and found yourself immersed in entirely new and strange conditions. For instead of having dominion over the lower kingdoms and receiving from them what you needed, you found yourself having to cultivate the soil in order to reduce it to produce, having, in short, to earn your bread by the sweat of your brow. But having taken on this earthly mission, it was necessary for you to enter fully into the conditions of earthly life, in order to develop a mind and perfect a body capable of expressing my idea on earth. Real reason and cause for your entry into such conditions. Having fallen, or rather come out of your impersonal Edenic state, and now allowing desire to guide them, you were no longer able to see the sole reality of things because you had clothed a physical body, an earthly shell, with a human brain that, influenced by desire, acted as a veil over your soul consciousness, obscured your vision and veiled your mind, so that the light of truth could not penetrate it, and everything was colored and distorted to your human understanding, and you saw all things confusedly as through a fog, which prevented you from seeing them in their reality. You saw them only in their hazy appearance, which nevertheless seemed their reality to you. So it was with all the things you saw through your physical eyes, animate and inanimate things, with everything you conceived in your human mind, even with your own self and the other selves around you, no longer discerning the soul of things, but only their blurred appearance. You came to think that those shadows were the real substance, and that the world around you was composed and filled with that substance, But that fog was only the effect of the light of truth that could not penetrate through your human mind, whose intellect, like an imperfect lens, distorted everything and made it appear real. Well, the intellect is a creature of desire and completely dominated by it, and is not, as others suppose, a faculty of the soul. In other words, that fog was the murky lens of your human intellect which, because it was dominated by desire, reflected and caused your consciousness to falsely interpret every image, idea, or impulse that I inspired from within or attracted from without, during the process of awakening that I was operating in your consciousness, to the recognition of my inner idea always pressing for outward expression. All this I was doing purposely by means of desire, to lead you consciously into the heart of earthly conditions. While this false vision, inspired by desire, was causing much error, much labor, and much suffering, you, little by little, were losing faith in your true self, in me, the inner impersonal one. You were, in short, forgetting me, and so you no longer knew where to turn in your helplessness. Yet, if you had not lost the memory of your divine state and concentrated all your consciousness in these earthly conditions, I could not have developed your mind, your human will, all your faculties, and provided your human body with the strength and powers that would have enabled me to express my divine idea perfectly on earth. And that had to be. Thus, through your mistakes, your pains, your sufferings, the desire to alleviate them gave rise in your mind to the idea of evil, and when these pains no longer existed, it inspired the idea of good. And to all appearances of things and conditions you ascribed the qualities of good and evil, insofar as they satisfied or did not satisfy your desire, my agent, my human self, that is you, in your human personality. But all these conditions and experiences into which you entered, which you called good if you liked them, and evil if you disliked them, were merely accidents created by desire to arouse in you certain faculties of the soul that would enable you to recognize the truth that I, within, desired at that moment to imprint on your consciousness. Evil, apparent, was the positive aspect of the fruit of the tree, which always enticed you, with its beautiful appearance and the sweetness of the first taste, to eat and enjoy until satiety, or until its harmful effects manifested and became a curse, bringing the disillusionment that served to make you return full of humiliation to me, your true self, who through the new consciousness thus awakened, could then extract the essence of the fruit and incorporate it into the substance and fabric of the soul. The good, apparent, was the negative aspect of the fruit, which came to expression through your recognition and obedience to its impulse, and which now allowed you to enjoy its happy natural effects and receive the external benefits of my love-filled guidance and inspiration. But this you that was led by desire through all these experiences was only your human personality that the real you developed and prepared so that it could become a perfect instrument for your use in expressing my idea, which always seeks to manifest in the flesh its perfection. You did all this not only by forcing your human personality to eat the fruit of the so-called tree of the science of good and evil, but also by forcing it to live by it until you had seen and known the so-called evil, and by living with it you had discovered in it the germ of the so-called good, and picking it up and raising it, you had overthrown it on the other side, so that from then on you knew that good and evil have no real existence and are only relative terms describing external conditions looked at from different points of view. That is, different external aspects of a central internal truth whose reality is precisely what you seek to know, to be, to express. Thus, during the last ages you have, as it were, thrown off one by one the layers of your human consciousness, dissipating the fog and mirage created by the intellect around your mind, subduing, spiritualizing, and thus enlightening the intellect itself, until now you begin to grasp, by means of the other, increasingly subtle layers, some glimmer of me, the one great reality within all things. But the omniscient one, the impersonal I am of you. Consciously and intentionally did all this not for the purpose of acquiring mere knowledge of earthly conditions and things, as your intellect proclaimed so loudly and with such authority, but so that you could reap what you had sown in the remote ages of the past and manifest on earth my perfect idea, as you manifest it even now in the impersonal state, in your heavenly home. And you, remember, are the great impersonal self that does it all, constantly changing outer appearance but eternally the same inside. The endless succession of seasons, spring with its busy sowing, summer with its warm ripening, autumn with its opulent harvest, winter with its cold, tranquil abundance, year by year, life by life, succeeding each other during countless centuries and epochs, are only the inspiration and exhalation of the breath of my idea, through the earth and you, my attribute, and all my other attributes, during the process of manifestation of my sacred intent. Yes, I do this through you because you are part of me, because only through you, my attribute, I can express myself. I can be. I am because you are. You are because I express myself. I am in you as the oak is in the acorn. You are me as the sunbeam is the sun. You are a phase of my expression. You, one of my divine attributes, eternally seek to express my perfection by means of your mortal personality. Precisely as the artist sees in his mind the perfect picture he wants to paint, but his hand cannot fully reproduce with the crude tools of brush and colors the qualities and effects he sees, so you see me in yourself and know that we are one, but you are always hindered from expressing me perfectly by the imperfection of the earthly material of which your human personality is composed, with its animal body, its mortal mind, its selfish intellect. Yet I created your body, your mind, your intellect, for the purpose of expressing myself through you. I made your body in the image of my perfection. Mind I gave you so that you might know me and my works. I gave you intellect so that you might interpret my idea that I inspire in your mind. But you have been so distracted by the human phases of this body, this mind, this intellect, and their outward uses, that you have forgotten me, the one and only inner reality, whose divine nature I always try to express to you and through you. But the time is approaching in which outward uses will no longer distract you, and in which my reality will be revealed to you in all the splendor of its perfection within you. But you, when I thus reveal myself, will not be happier than before, if what I have revealed to you does not become bread of life for you, if you do not live and manifest the life that it reveals. The use. I have purposely not set forth clearly the whole how and why of these things, for I reserve the right, when you ask me to do so and when you are capable of receiving it, to inspire you from within, with a vision of the development of my divine idea and its final, perfected expression, far more extensive than that depicted here. If I were to communicate to you now the real meaning of my manifold aspirations, before you were capable of consciously experiencing their truth, you would not believe my words or understand their intimate application and the way to employ them. Therefore, as I begin to awaken in you the realization that I am within, and make your human consciousness more and more an impersonal channel through which I can express myself, I will gradually reveal to you the reality of my idea, dispelling one by one the illusions of your long past, which have concealed me from you, and I will thus be able at last to manifest on earth through you my heavenly attributes in all their humanly divine perfection. I have given you here only a glimmer of my reality, but precisely to the extent that what is revealed to you is clear to you. Much more will be disclosed to you from within, and will be far more wonderful than it now seems to you. For my inner idea, when it finally shines through your shell of flesh, will compel you to worship and glorify me far above all that your human mind and intellect now conceive as God. But before you can become conscious of all this, and truly understand it, You and your human personality must make it possible for me to reveal it, turning to me within, as the one and only source, bringing to me the absolutely empty cup of self, with mind and heart as simple as those of a child. Then, and only then, when nothing of human personal consciousness remains to prevent me from filling you to overflowing with me consciousness, will I be able to point you to the splendors of my real intent, for which this message is only an external preparation. However, the time has come for you to understand something of this. Enough has been revealed to you to prepare you to recognize my voice speaking within you. Therefore, I will now proceed as if you realize that I am within you. All the truths that I expound by means of these pages are for the sole purpose of imprinting more strongly in your consciousness those aspects of my idea that you could not yet in a clear way directly receive. What of what is written here appears to you as truth and attracts you is, therefore, only a confirmation of what my idea has so far endeavored to express to you from within. What does not attract you, persuade you, and recognize as yours, leave it. It is a sign that I do not yet wish you to accept it. But every truth that I expound here will advance vibrantly until it reaches the minds that I have stimulated to receive it. For every word is filled with the powerful energy of my idea, and to the minds that perceive the truth concealed in them, this truth becomes a living reality, it being that phase of my idea that they are now capable and worthy of expressing. For all minds are but aspects of my infinite mind, that is, the parts of it manifested in different forms of mortal nature. When I speak through these pages to your mind and other minds, I speak only to my mortal self, thinking with my infinite mind and thrusting my idea into earthly manifestation. Precisely so, you will immediately think my thoughts and be aware that I speak directly within your human consciousness. And then you will no longer need to resort to this book or any of my other external revelations, written or spoken, for the purpose of perceiving my intent. Why? Am I not in you? Am I not you? And are you not one with me, living in the consciousness of all minds and expressing myself through them, knowing all things? All that remains is for you to enter the omniscience of my mind and dwell in it with me, as I dwell in my idea in your mind. Then all things will be yours, as they are now mine, being only the external expression of my idea, and existing only by virtue of the consciousness I gave them when I thought them into existence. It is only a matter of consciousness, conscious thought. You are separate from me only because you think you are. Your mind is but a focal point of my mind, only that you understand it. What you call your consciousness is my consciousness. You cannot even think, much less breathe and exist, without my consciousness being in you. Don't you understand it? Well, then think, believe that you are me, that we are not separate, that we cannot be separate, for we are one, I within you, and you within me. Think that it is so. Imagine resolutely that it is so, and truly at the instant you are conscious of this, you are with me in heaven. You are what you think you are. Nothing in your life is real or has any value to you except insofar as you think and believe it does. So think no more that you are separate from me and dwell with me in the impersonal realm, where all power, all wisdom, and all love, the threefold nature of my idea, are just waiting to express themselves through you. I have now spoken a great deal on this subject, and apparently I have said the same thing more than once, albeit in different words. But I have done so expressly. I have presented my intent to you in different lights, so that you may at last understand my divine impersonality, which is actually your impersonality. Yes, I have repeated and will continue to repeat many truths, and you may find this tedious and unnecessary, but if you read carefully, you will find that each time I repeat a truth, I always add something to what I have already said, and that each time a stronger and more lasting impression is made on your mind. If so, my purpose is achieved, and soon your soul will realize this truth. But even you who do not understand, you will savor every word, and you will read and reread many times and acquire as a result all the wonderful pearls of wisdom that I hold for you. And this book and its message shall henceforth be to you only a source of inspiration, that is, a door through which you shall become fit to enter into the same impersonal and maintain sweet communion with me, your Father in heaven, as I teach you all things that you desire to know. I have depicted the impersonal state from many points of view in order to make it so familiar that you can infallibly distinguish it from all lower states and learn to consciously dwell in it at will. And when you can consciously dwell in it so that my words wherever and whenever uttered can always find acceptance and understanding in your mind, then I will allow you to employ certain faculties that I have awakened in you. These faculties will make you able to see more and more clearly the reality of things, especially the weaknesses, faults, shortcomings, as well as the beautiful and pleasant traits in the personalities around you. But you will be made apt to discern these faults, these shortcomings, not so that you may criticize or judge your fellow human beings, but so that I may raise in you the resolution to overpower, to suppress those faults and shortcomings in your personality. For beware, you would not detect them if you did not still have them in yourself, since I, within, would no longer need to call your attention to them. Since all things are made to be used, and only for this, let us study a little what use you have made so far of other faculties, gifts, and powers I have given you. By now you will be convinced that I have given you everything, all that you have, that you are, whether good or bad, joy or sorrow, success or failure, wealth or poverty, all I have given you or attracted to you. For what purpose? To use it to awaken you to the recognition of me as giver. Thus, even before such recognition, all the things you possessed had their usefulness. And if you were not conscious of their usefulness, it was only because you could not recognize me as the giver. Nor could you recognize me as such until you knew that I am the giver. In fact, your personality had become so immersed in the travail of getting rid of certain things I had told you, or throwing them out for others that you thought were better, that you naturally could not even dream of, much less recognize me, yourself, as the giver. Now instead you recognize me as the giver, as the inner essence, the creator of all things in your world and in your life, and even of your present attitude toward these things. Both of these dispositions of mind are my work. They are only the outer stages of the process I employ in expressing my idea of your inner perfection, which perfection, being my perfection, gradually develops from within you. As you deepen this more, the purpose of the things, conditions, and experiences I send you will be revealed to you. For then you will begin to glimpse some glimmer of my inner idea, and escorting this idea, you will begin to know me, your real self. But before you can truly know me, you must learn that all the things I give you are good and serve to serve me, that you, personally, have no interest or right in them, and that they benefit only insofar as you place them in that service. I can express through you beautiful symphonies of sounds, colors, and images in the form of music, painting, and poetry, according to mortal terminology, and your works can so strike others that they will hail you as one of the great ones of the day. I can speak through your mouth or inspire you to write many beautiful truths, which attract many followers to you who hail you as the preacher, the most wonderful instructor. I can even heal through you certain diseases, cast out demons, make the blind see, make the lame walk, and perform other amazing works that the world calls miracles. Yes, I can do through you all this, but none of it will benefit your personality if you do not apply these harmonies of sounds in your every word, so that they seem to all hearers a sweet heavenly music. If your sense of color and proportion do not manifest themselves in your life in such a way that only kind, elevated, wholesome thoughts flow from you, thus proving that the only true art is to see clearly my perfection in all my human expressions, and to allow the life-giving power of my love to pour through you into their hearts, depicting to their inner vision my image concealed therein. So likewise no authority will you be able to exercise, no matter how marvelous the truths I speak or the works I perform through you, if you yourself do not live these truths every day, every hour. If you do not make these works serve as a constant reminder of me and of my power, which I pour out abundantly for you, my beloved, and for all, that it may be used in my service. And to you, to whom apparently I have bestowed none of such gifts, and who consider yourself unworthy and not yet advanced enough to serve me in that way, to you I say, precisely to the extent that you sincerely recognize me within and seek with true fervor to serve me, precisely to that extent I will work you. No matter what your personality is, no matter what your faults, tendencies, weaknesses, I will also cause you, who seek to serve me thus, to accomplish many wonderful things in awakening and enlivening your fellow human beings to an equal recognition of me. I will cause you to influence the lives of many of those who come in contact with you, inspiring and raising them to higher ideals, changing their way of thinking and their attitude toward their fellow man, and thus toward me. Yes, all of you who seek to serve me, no matter what your gifts are, I will make you fit to be a vital force for the good of the community, transforming the standard of living of many, inspiring and shaping their aspirations and ambitions, becoming in short a beneficial ferment in the midst of the worldly activities in which I will place you. But you for the meantime will know nothing of this. You may still yearn to serve me and crave for a more intimate consciousness of me, believing that you are doing nothing, making many mistakes and failing to live your high ideal of me, not understanding that this yearning and craving are precisely the channels through which I pour out my spiritual force, which being completely impersonal, is employed by you without being aware that it is I within you who employ it, to work out my intent in your heart and life, and in the hearts and lives of my and your other selves. Thus, when you finally come to understand all this, as you will certainly come to and prove it by the practical use of all that you possess in my service, I will gradually give you the strength and ability to consciously and impersonally use my power, wisdom, and love in the expression of my divine idea, which strives eternally to manifest its perfection through you. You will therefore soon see that your human personality, with all its faculties, powers, and possessions, which are actually mine and act through you, is also completely for my service, and that true success and satisfaction can only be found in such service. As the planted seed develops the plant, so such use develops the ability to consciously use all my spiritual faculties in the final, perfect expression of my idea, which can only be expressed through your human personality. Companion souls. Let us now examine some of the things I have given you, especially those of which you cannot yet recognize as the giver. You think perhaps that the position you currently occupy in life is not the most suitable for the expression of my idea pressing within you. If so, why don't you get out of that position and go to the one you would choose? The very fact that you do or do not or cannot do this proves that, for now, such a position is the most suitable to awaken in you certain qualities necessary for my perfect expression, and that I, yourself, compel you to remain there until you recognize my intent and the hidden meaning and the power that such a position has to disturb your peace of mind and keep you so dissatisfied. When you have recognized my meaning and purpose, and have decided to make my purpose your own, then, only then, will I give you the strength to come out of that position and pass into another one that I have provided for you. Perhaps you find that the husband or wife I have given you are far from agreeing with you and being able to help you in your spiritual awakening, that they are rather an impediment and a detriment. And you may have secretly wished to leave and have cultivated the idea of abandoning that companion or partner for another who is akin to you in aspirations and quest, and who therefore seems closer to your ideal. You can escape my primitive choice if you wish, but know that you cannot escape your own personality, that in its selfish yearning for a spiritual companion, you develop even more the selfish side of your nature, while an unpalatable companion forces you to fold in on yourself, to turn inward, where I dwell. So too, a loving, faithful, condescending companion would only encourage selfishness and pride in you if you do not yet dwell in the consciousness of my impersonal love. While a tormenting companion precisely provides you with the soul discipline you still need and teaches you the value of opposition and self-mastery. Only that you knew it. The one who assumes the part of your present companion is actually an angel of heaven, one of the attributes of my divine self, who has come to you to teach you with despotism and opposition, with selfishness, harshness, strictness, which are only shadows of qualities that exist in you, that the light of my idea within, radiating through your clouded personality, casts on your companion's soul, obscuring it, jamming it, binding it to his personality, magnifying and at the same time distorting these shadows of qualities in his personality, so that they come boldly forth, flaunting before you the power to disturb and torment you, to teach you that only when you have purified your personality of such qualities, so that my holy love can express itself, can you be freed from the conditions that now so disturb your mind and make your soul so unhappy. For know it that sorrowful chained soul, this angel of heaven, this other part of you and me, has come to you and beats its wings against the closed cage of your personality in which you help it to remain enclosed, while it continually yearns and forces itself to call to expression, through you, impersonal love, the tender attentive care for others, the calmness of mind, the peace of heart, the serene and firm empire of self that can break the shackles, open the doors, and enable it to go out into the freedom of its glorious being and be for you its true self. Only when you can see in this soul all its divine beauty, though now sickened and weakened by its earthly shackles, will it be possible for you to find and recognize the ideal you seek. For that ideal does not exist outside, in some other personality, but only within, in your divine counterpart, which is I, your higher immortal self. It is only my idea of this perfect self of yours, striving for expression and manifestation through your personality, that shows you the apparent imperfections in the companion I have given you. Time will come, at any rate, when you will cease to look outside for love and sympathy, consideration and spiritual help, and when you will turn completely to me within, and then these apparent imperfections will disappear. Then you will see in your companion only the reflection of selfless love, gentleness, trust, fidelity, and constant effort to make others happy, all qualities that will radiate brightly and continuously from your own heart. Perhaps you still cannot fully believe all this and will question whether I, yourself, am really responsible for your present position in life, and whether I really chose your present companion for you. If so, it is good for you to question until everything is clear. But remember, I will speak much more clearly directly from within, only that you turn confidently to me for help. For I always keep my holiest secrets for those who turn to me and have deep and persevering faith that I can and will provide for their every need. But to you, who cannot yet do this, I say, if yourself did not put you where you are, and give you the companion you have, why then are you like this? Why do you have that companion? Think about it. I, the all, the perfect, make no mistakes. Yes, but you say personality commits some, and personality chose that comrade, and perhaps he did not deserve a better position. But what and who made the personality choose that very companion and position? Who chose and placed that companion so that you could choose it, and who made you be born of all countries, in this very country and in this very city, of all the cities in the world, and in this very time? Why not in another city and 100 years later? Was it your personality that did these things? Answer these questions truthfully before yourself, and you will learn that I, God in you, your own self, do all the things you do and do them well. I make them in expressing my idea, which seeks to continuously manifest itself in outward form as perfection through you, my living attribute, while remaining in the eternal inwardly. As for your true soulmate, that someone has led you to believe is waiting for you somewhere, stop looking for it. For it does not exist outside, in some other body, but inside your soul. For what in you asks for compliment is only your sense of my presence, of the I within, yearning to be recognized. I, your divine counterpart, your spiritual part, your other half to whom alone you must be united, before you finish what you have come to express on earth. This is indeed a mystery to you who are not yet married in consciousness to your impersonal self. But do not doubt. If you will come in complete renunciation and care for nothing but union with me, I will open to you the sweetnesses of heavenly ecstasy that I have long held in store for you. The authority. To you who still feel the desire to read books, believing that you will find in them an explanation of the mysteries that now conceal from you the meaning of the earthly expressions of my idea, I say, it is well that, following the impulses I send you, you seek thus outside for other interpretations of the meaning that my idea expresses through them. I will make such a search fruitful for you, though not in the manner you imagine. And indeed it is good that you seek in teachings, philosophies, and religions of ancient times, or in those of other peoples and other races, the truth that I wish to express to you, for even that search will not be without profit. But the time will come when you will understand that the thoughts of other minds and the teachings of other religions, however true and beautiful they may be, are not what I want for you. For I have reserved for you thoughts and teachings that are yours alone, and which I will give you in secret when you are ready to receive them. And when the time comes, as it inevitably must come, when you, dissatisfied with your search among the teachings of the various religions, philosophies, and cults that now interest you, will become discouraged and feel that you have not come any closer to attaining the spiritual powers and development described with such authority, and which you believe to be possessed by the writers of the books, by the teachers of philosophies, and the promulgators of religions, then I will show you that while all these books, teachings, and religions were originally inspired by me, and have done and are still doing their part in exciting the hearts of many, it is now convenient for you to cease turning to any external authority, and instead limit your study to my book of life, guided and instructed by me, entirely, by me alone. If you do this sincerely and fervently, you will find that I have chosen you to be the high priest of a religion whose greatness and splendor will be, in comparison with all others hitherto presented to your understanding, like the light of the sun in comparison with the twinkling of a very distant star. You will recognize that the ancient religions were given to my peoples of ancient times, and that the religions of other races are for my peoples of those races, but that none of them are for you. Although I have brought them to your knowledge and pointed out to you in them many wonderful things that moved you to a more determined search for me in their teachings. But I tell you that these are things of the past and have nothing more to do with you. Tea time has come, if you can see it, when you must lay aside all accumulated knowledge, all teachings, all religions, all authorities, even my authority, as expressed in this and other external revelations. For I have awakened you to the consciousness of my presence within you, to the fact that any authority, teaching, or religion coming from an external source, however high and sacred, can no longer have any influence on you, except as a means of making you turn to me within, to my decisive authority in all matters, of whatever nature. Why then look to the things of the past, religions, human knowledge, or other experiences for help and guidance that I alone can give? Forget everything that has been. The past is dead. Why burden your soul with the weight of dead things? Insofar as you cling to past things, you live in the past and can have nothing to do with me, who dwell in the ever-present now, in the eternal. Insofar as you cling to past acts, experiences, religions, or teachings, they likewise cloud the vision of your soul, hiding me from you and always preventing you from finding me, until you free yourself from their obscuring influence and pass within, into the light of my impersonal consciousness that knows no limitations and penetrates into infinity, reality of all things. So too the future does not concern you. He who awaits the future for his final perfection is chained to the past and cannot become free until his mind is no longer charged with the consequences of his actions, and he acknowledges me as his only guide and casts all responsibility on me. You, who are one with me, are perfect now, and were always perfect, and never knew youth or old age, birth or death. You, the perfect one, have nothing to do with what has been and what will be. Nothing concerns you except the eternal now. Only what is immediately before you concerns you, that is, how you are to express my idea perfectly here and now, in the conditions in which I have placed you specifically for such expression. Having completed your work, why not leave it behind you, instead of dragging it to burden your mind and soul with consequences that are merely empty shells from which you have extracted food? All this applies to reincarnation, to whose belief many minds are strongly chained. What do you, the perfect one, the eternal one, have to do with past or future incarnations? Can the perfect increase its perfection, or the eternal go out or return to eternity? I am, and you are one with me, and always were and always shall be. Your I am dwells and reincarnates in all bodies with the sole purpose of expressing my idea. Humanity is my body. In it I live, move, and have my being, expressing the admirable light of my idea by means of my attributes, whose heavenly splendor is obscured and distorted to human vision by the myriads of imperfect and blurred faces of the human intellect. You and I, who are one with me, are reincarnated in humanity as the oak tree is reincarnated in its leaves and acorns, one season after another, and again in the thousands of oaks that are born from the thousands of acorns and the oaks that will come from them, one generation after another. But you say you remember some of your past lives. Do I? Are you sure about that? Well, what does this mean? Precisely the fact that I allowed you to glimpse a glimmer of the reality of one of my past expressions, so that you might better understand my design which I now express to you. Is it not a proof given by me that you personally were my conduit for such expression? For do I not express myself through all the trammels and you with me? And are we not the life and intelligence of all expressions, no matter what their character, their age, their race? But if you like to believe that you really were that expression, well, I will see to it that such belief will be of benefit to you, but only insofar as it will help prepare you for the great realization that will come later. Meanwhile, you are tightly chained. Your personality, with its selfish desires and selfish pursuits, is still bound hand and foot to the past, and seeks in the future its liberation, after the exhaustion of all the consequences of its actions. It dominates your mind and intellect, with the false belief of birth and death, and that such is your only path to final emancipation and union with me, preventing you from recognizing our eternal and ever-present unity and understanding that you can liberate yourself at any time you wish. For only the personality is born and dies, seeks and strives to prolong its stay in the body and earthly life, and then to return to other bodies after I no longer need what it has. And it is only to this personality that you are bound by the beliefs and opinions that it has grafted into you through the ages during which it has kept your mind occupied with such illusions. Only when you can rise to the realization of your divine immortality, omnipotence, and intelligence, and when you can lay down all personal beliefs and opinions, only then can you free yourself from this false relationship and assume your true position as master and king, one with me, seated on the throne of the self, forcing the personality to take its natural place as servant and subject, ready and willing to obey my slightest command, thus becoming an instrument worthy of my use. Intermediaries and intercessors. O you who in your desire to serve me have joined a church, a religious organization, an occult society, any spiritual order, believing that you are doing a grateful thing to me by helping and supporting its work, in the hope of receiving special favors from me in return, listen to these words of mine and meditate on them. Know first of all that I am already pleased with you, since you do nothing that I do not make you do, and what you do is to fulfill my intent, even though at times it may seem to you that you are acting against my will and only to fulfill your desires. Know also that I provide all minds with all the experiences of their lives, that I use them solely to prepare their bodies, awaken their hearts, and develop their consciousness so that they can understand themselves and thus express through them my idea. Through these experiences, I inspire minds with glimmers of me and my idea, and I have spoken with such inspirations to many who have collected my words, written them down in books, and taught them to other minds. With such words I awakened the hearts and consciousness of those who were ready to receive them, even if the writers and instructors did not understand my intent. Many of those whose minds I thus inspire, I make them become instructors and guides of others, and they, by organizing churches, societies, and cults, attract seekers and followers so that I, through words I speak through them, can awaken the hearts and consciousness of those who are prepared to recognize me. But it is I, the inner impersonal, who does all this, and the instructors and guides personally do nothing. They serve only as channels through which I can express my idea to the consciousness of those whom I draw to them for that purpose. Since the mind is only a channel and the intellect an instrument that I employ impersonally, wherever and whenever necessary, to express my idea, only when the heart has awakened and opened to contain me, can the personality, with its mind and intellect, consciously comprehend my intent when I express myself through my idea. You, in your eagerness to serve me, may have found in some instructor or in some guide a personality who, from the wonderful words I express through him, seems even now to contain in his heart. In your doubts, in your eagerness to be pleasing to me, and in your fear of displeasing me by disobeying my commands, you may have gone to some of those instructors, who probably claim to be priests or priestesses of the Most High, and believed that you could have through them my message or words of help and advice from some master or guide of the spiritual world, reputed by you to be my emissary. Go ahead and do that if you want. Indeed, it is I who offer you such a chance. If you do not want to or cannot be content to trust in me and wait for me to answer and help you in my time and in my way. Yes, I even send you to these priests and priestesses and let you put your trust and faith in them. Let them nourish you with all the spiritual teachings and advice from such masters and guides that you can receive, so that in sorrow and humiliation at the disillusionment that inevitably follows, you may once again be repelled upon yourself, upon the inner instructor, upon me, upon your true self. You had so many disappointments, underwent all the disciplines, gave all your ardor, all your devotion, not to mention your money and your services, believing that you were helping my work. Instead, all of this was being stolen from you, and was being used to build and strengthen the personal power and prestige of such instructors. They fed you with subtle flattery and promises of spiritual advancement, using skillful sophistry in the form of lofty spiritual teachings, for the purpose of keeping you attached to them and continuing to honor them, always holding over you the threat of my displeasure, if you did not give them unquestioning faith and obedience. All this I bring to you, because it is what you desire and seek, and desire is indeed the agent of my will. You may also have given your love and devotion to some visible or invisible instructor, well-meaning perhaps and spiritually wise, who you feel cannot be classified among those I have mentioned, and had received teachings that seem to you of inestimable value. All this is good, as long as you feel the need to receive, for I give as much as satisfies your desires. Know, however, that all this is in vain and does not bring the results you seek. For the quest for spiritual attainment is of the personality. It is therefore selfish and leads only to disappointment. But, if you look closely, it is precisely in disillusionment that you reach the real results. For I myself prepared them for you and led you toward them, presenting you with the possibility of having help from some human instructor. The disillusions and humiliations you procured for yourself on purpose, so that you, having become more humble and docile again like a little child, would listen and obey my word uttered within you and, listening to it, be able to enter my kingdom. All external searches will thus end and bring you back only and always to me, tired, naked, hungry, willing to listen to me and do anything even for a crust of my bread, which in your presumption you disdained before. But now, if you have enough of teachings and instructors, and are sure that within you is the source of all wisdom, these words will bring ineffable joy to your heart. For do they not confirm what you have already felt within you as true? To you who cannot yet see this and who need an intermediary, I have provided with the story of the crucified Christ for your redemption, depicting you in it as I wish you to live, so that through the crucifixion of your personality you may rise to the consciousness of oneness with me. But to you who are strong enough to understand this, I say that there is no need for an intermediary between you and me, for we are already one. If you can just perceive this, you can come directly and immediately to me in your consciousness, and I, God within you, will receive you, and you will dwell with me eternally, as does my Son Jesus, the man of Nazareth, through whom I express myself now, as I did 2,000 years ago, and as I will one day express myself through you. To you, who would like to know how and why I say such beautiful and spiritual things through personalities who fail to live the teachings they give as their own, I say, I employ all means of communication impersonally to express my intent. Some I have prepared to be better means of expression than others, although they personally know nothing of me. In some I have awakened the heart so that they can better contain me and become consciously more united with me. Some thus have become one with me, are no longer separated from me in their consciousness, and I live, move, and express my being in them. From the very beginning of the earth I have prepared my priests, my prophets, my messiahs, so that to show the world my idea, my word, that will finally become flesh. But whether I speak through a priest, a prophet, a messiah, a little child, or your worst enemy, every word that in a vital way appeals to you is the word of the I Am, of you speaking through the organism of that intermediary to the consciousness of your soul. When some are gathered to hear my word, uttered by one of my priests, it is not the priest, but it is I, in the heart of each of the hearers, who draw from the priest the vital words that penetrate deeply into the consciousness of each of the hearers. The priest does not know what in his words moves the onlookers, and does not even understand my intent in the words he says. But I, within him, attract from the devotion and faith in me, consciously and unconsciously expressed by all those gathered around him, the spiritual force that serves as a conduit by which I reach the consciousness of those minds prepared to understand my intent. For, although I say for all the same words, in fact they contain a distinct message for each one, and each one understands only the message that I say to him. For I within you choose from the words the meaning that I intend for you, and so for each of your brothers within it. For all I choose the meaning that I intend for each one of them. When 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, I am in the midst of them. For the idea that has gathered them is my idea, inspired by me within each, and by the union of their aspirations toward me, I seek a channel by which I make the consciousness of each of those souls capable of grasping glimmers of me in the measure of its possibilities. I make every priest, every instructor, every intermediary, instinctively feel this, since all are my ministers, chosen by me. So too I awaken in their hearts the desire to surround themselves with followers, in order to awaken in the hearts of those who are ready an awareness of my presence within them. The priest, the instructor, the intermediary, may never have recognized my presence within them and think that I am personified in some master or in some god or in some savior outside of them. Nevertheless, by means of certain words that I make my ministers speak, together with the spiritual force provided by the various aspirants, I can awaken the soul consciousness of those whom I have led to those my ministers, to the real understanding of me, the impersonal one, who resides in the innermost, in the heart of each and every one. For the I am of my minister and the I am of every follower is one in consciousness, one in understanding, one in love, one in purpose, which is the fulfillment of my will. This I am, which is entirely impersonal and knows neither time nor space nor different identities, uses only the personalities of ministers and followers and the occasion of personal contact as a means of giving voice to my idea, which always strives from within to express itself externally. Ministers who take advantage of my followers' confidence and faith and use them to benefit their own private interests, I awaken them in due time to the recognition of my will and my idea. This awakening, however, is far from pleasant for their personalities and almost always causes much suffering and humiliation. But souls rejoice and sing praises to me when the fact happens. Do not be surprised, then, if you sometimes hate wonderful words of truth from lips seemingly unsuited to utter them and from people who may not understand their full meaning, nor of the fact that mere followers often awaken before their instructors and develop more than they do. I, who dwell as much in the instructor as in his followers, choose different conditions and provide different avenues for the expression of my attributes in each soul, adapting each of them to the time and place where they can best complement and help each other, thus uniting them all in the most harmonious possible expression of my idea according to circumstances. Masters. O you who still hold to the idea, professed in various doctrines, that I provide a teacher, a divine instructor, for every aspirant to union with me, hear me. I have allowed you in the past to immerse yourself in all sorts of mystical and occult books and teachings, encouraging your desire to attain the powers necessary to achieve union with me, in those teachings preconceived, to the point of awakening in you a slight consciousness of the possession of such powers. I allowed you to believe that by practicing certain exercises, by breathing in a given way, by uttering special words, you could from the unseen attract a master to help prepare you for certain initiations that would get you admitted to an advanced degree into some secret order, into the inner planes of existence, where much of my divine wisdom would be disclosed to you. Not only did I allow it, but I was myself leading you to those books, inspiring those desires, fixing in your mind those beliefs, but not for the purpose you imagine. In fact, I have taken you through all those teachings and desires trying to show your human mind the forces I employ to express my divine idea. I depicted these forces as heavenly hierarchies, and, so that your human intellect could better understand, I depicted them as angels or divine beings, impersonal agents and executors of my will, engaged in the process of expressing my idea, which was from the beginning. But you did not understand. Your human intellect, enamored of the possibility of meeting and communicating with one of these beings, as was asserted in certain teachings, personified them, yearned for their appearance, imagining that they would take an interest in your human affairs, and that by living according to certain rules, laid down in certain teachings, you could propitiate them so that they would help you achieve nirvana or immortality. Well, I have allowed you to indulge in such illusions, letting you yearn and pray and strive ardently to obey all instructions, leading you at times to the point of having, in dreams and self-stimulated visions, some glimmer of the ideal beings whom I let you believe were masters. I may even have disclosed in you certain faculties that make it possible for you to perceive the presence of personalities who have passed over to the spiritual side of life and who have been attracted by your desires and have sought to represent to you the part of masters and guides. But now the time has come when you must know that such beings are not masters, and likewise that divine beings are not masters. That I, only I, your real self, am your only master. That every being in human or spirit form who comes to your consciousness and arrogates himself to be a master, or whom your mind presumes to be such, is but a personality, as you are, and therefore not divine in spite of the portentous truths he can utter and the wonderful things he can do. This is a mystery, and until you can understand it, you are justified in claiming that what I tell you does not conform to certain statements made here, and that it contradicts teachings of other revelations of mine. But fear not. This mystery will be revealed to you if you sincerely desire to know my intent. Until then, why in your searches would you be satisfied with that which is inferior to the highest? Why seek in teachings, guides, teachers, or angels the necessarily limited manifestations of my perfection, while you can come directly to me, God within, the omniscient, the omnipresent, the inspiring idea that is behind and within all manifestations? For I am in you, as I am in whoever you seek, and since all the wisdom, all the power, and all the love that they possess comes from me alone, why not come to me at once, and let me prepare you in such a way as to express my all through you? As long as your human mind seeks or worships the idea of a master in any other being, no matter how noble and sacred it seems to you, you derive nourishment from such ideas. And perhaps I can even allow you to meet and communicate with such a master. But if such a privilege is granted to you, it is only to hasten your awakening and your subsequent disillusionment, when you will learn that that master is only a personality, albeit far more advanced than you in awakening, but still a personality and not the divine one that the innermost of your soul yearns to know. For if I feed you with every idea capable of teaching you the reality behind the semblance, and if I lead you to apparent disillusionment and loss of faith in all human teachings and all human and even divine perfections, it is only to make you capable of distinguishing more clearly between substance and shadow, and to prepare you for that far higher ideal which I propose to present to you. You can rise in your personality only to the ideal that your human mind is capable of conceiving. Through desire I manifest through you my will, and through desire I perform many wonderful works. But for you who have risen above desire, for you who no longer seek a master, an instructor, or even me, but dwell only in the faith of my eternal presence, for you I have in store an encounter and fellowship that will bring to your soul such joy and bliss such as your human mind is incapable of conceiving. You are a human personality, but you are also divine and therefore perfect. You believe the first of these truths, but not the second. Yet both are true. This is the mystery. You are precisely what you think you are. The one or the other. Which one are you? Or both? You are one with me. I am you in your human personality, in your body, in your mind, in every faculty of your intellect. I am the soul, the active principle of each one. And you are in me. You are a cell of my body, an attribute of my mind, a faculty of my intellect. You are a part of me, as well you are me, myself. Your human personality is to you what you are to my divine impersonality. You are one of my mental attributes, one of my divine powers, one of the irradiations of my will, which I emanate impersonally to fulfill my intent. You are a divine being, my angel of light, a living part of me that I have emanated for it to manifest on earth to impersonally express my idea. Can an angel, a completely impersonal being, an attribute of my will, concern himself with human affairs? No. He only employs your human nature and human affairs as channels through which my will can express my idea. I brought to your mind's attention the idea of a master only to lead you and prepare you for this idea of me, your impersonal self, angel of light, the only true master within you. Your human mind is constituted in such a way that it sometimes thinks it needs a master, one to whom it can turn in its human trials and internal difficulties for advice and explanation, believing that life's problems can be solved that way. If I draw to you one who comes short of your expectations or deceives you and throws you back to me at last, disillusioned and humiliated, it is only because then perhaps you will be ready to turn to me inside and listen to my voice that during all these years had spoken to you, but which your selfish and proud mind had not deigned to hear. For you who have not yet had this experience, who have not yet encountered the master of your aspirations, whether in human form or in spiritual form, in whom my words have failed to awaken and solicit response to their truth, I have in store certain experiences that will certainly lead you to me later, and then you will understand that I am the master, the inspiring idea behind and within every thought and every aspiration toward the master that enters your mind, whether from without or from within. If you doubt this, you only have to apply the key. Think of a master and create one. Such an idea of a master, by thinking it, becomes what you desire and imagine a master to be. In other words, by thinking you build around this idea all the qualities that you imagine a master to possess. Your human mind, by means of desire, aspiration, worship, must necessarily create these qualities in some imaginary being that is also a personality, because you cannot yet conceive of an impersonal being. Therefore, depending on the intensity of your desire and thought, this idea must, sooner or later, manifest itself to you as a personality in the flesh, or as an entity in the realm of visions and dreams. And taught that, when the pupil is ready, the master appears. This is true in a sense, but not as you have interpreted it. Your secret desire for a master will bring him to you, but only when I have prepared you for such an appearance. Pure such an appearance will only be an appearance of such a master. The true master or teacher, when he appears you may not recognize him, for he may be hidden in an interesting friend, a business associate, your neighbor, your wife, your husband, or your child. For I speak by any means necessary at that moment to impress your human consciousness. And because I am constantly teaching you, even when you do not realize it, I have many ways to reach your consciousness, and I use them all to bring you to the understanding of my intent. I speak with many voices, with the voice of fear, love, envy, goodness, ambition, drunkenness, pleasure, suffering, shame, with the voice of all emotions, all passions, all human desires. I speak with the voice of nature, with the voice of experience, and even with the voice of human knowledge. Yes, all these voices are my voice that I employ impersonally to express to you one fact, that I am in all and that I am all. This voice tells you in its myriad ways that you too are part of this whole, and that I am in you, awaiting your recognition and conscious cooperation in the expression of my idea of impersonal perfection on earth as it is expressed in heaven. Only when this recognition comes, only then will you meet and know the true master. Then, and only then, will you understand that I, your impersonal self, am the only possible master of your human personality. Then you will understand why no human being or anything else can be impersonal and be a master of others. Why an impersonal being can never be known as a master by a human being and thus cannot be interested in human affairs. If a being who looks divine were to enter your life and show interest in you, rest assured that he is not completely impersonal. He may be a man-master, but he cannot be divine. But you may be satisfied with having such a master, even if he were not entirely impersonal. If so, I will later bring you to an understanding of his personal imperfections by constant comparison with my impersonal perfection, until you will finally turn to me in complete abandonment, recognizing me and my impersonality as your only model and ideal, and as the true cause that inspired your long search outside for my perfection that you can only find within, deeply hidden in your soul. Christ and love. To you who fear that my words may destroy your faith in the Lord Jesus Christ and your love for Him, I say, about 2,000 years ago, when the process of the expansion of my idea had reached the stage where I could manifest part of my divine reality, in order to do this, and thus remind my human attributes of their mission on earth, it was necessary to express by means of a human personality and to manifest in a human form my divine attributes, so that human minds and intellects could see and remember and be inspired, by me internally, to let at the same time my idea be expressed and manifested in their human personalities. This I did, representing to human understanding by means of my teachings and life what was necessary to fully express my divine idea. I showed, by the experiences of a symbolic nature through which I made the human personalities I expressly created for that purpose go through what all personalities must go through before you. My human attributes, who create these personalities, can again become impersonal enough to be conscious expressions with me of my divine idea. All of you, my human attributes, before the I Am can awaken your human minds to the realization of me, must be born from a virgin love in a humble manger, the place where cattle come to feed, in humble faith and trust in God, to whom human or animal nature must come. You must then be taken to Egypt, the land of darkness, of intellectual activity, to grow there and develop in body and understanding, until you become strong in the feeling of me within you. Then, having become sufficiently conscious of my power and love, I will begin to speak through you words of wisdom and truth that will confound the learned of the world, and even the doctors of the law. This will be followed by a long period of study and meditation that will mature the mind and develop the soul, until you come to the full maturity of the consciousness of the inner I Am that prepares you for the baptism of the Jordan, which will open you completely to me, and I will be able, from then on, to completely direct your lives. I then lead you into the world called, in my other revelation, the desert, to test you there, to make you strong, to accustom you to the impersonal use of my divine attributes. I bring to you the three great temptations, of power, of pride, of wealth, until you have given proof that nothing of the intellect, nothing of self, nothing from without can make you forget me within you, and that my voice, my alone, speaks it in your heart or in that of your brothers, you can now hear. It will begin after these trials, the period of miracles and teaching the multitude, accompanied by the outrages and persecution of the unbelieving and scoffing world, followed by the trial before Pontius Pilate, the representative of worldly law, the judgment, the ascent to Calvary carrying the cross, the nailing to the cross, the agony, the 3 days in the tomb, and then the final resurrection, by which one enters into complete union with me. Each of these stages has its own inner meaning and applies to the development of the soul. Those who have opened their hearts to me easily understand them. Such has been the way in the past for you, and for those who have studied and followed my teachings, given in previous revelations. But now the time has come when I have prepared you and many others for a new arrangement, by which you can enter into the consciousness of me directly and immediately by the impersonal way. Those who are developed and strong enough to reject all the pretensions of the human personality, those who can say I am, and who know that I am the inner one who gives them strength and enables them to rise above the attractions and influences of the outer world, those I have chosen to express, through them, the wonders of my idea. The Christ, that is, the consciousness of the I Am, must be born in your heart and in that of every human personality. It must grow and develop and pass somehow through every experience symbolized by the life of Jesus, before you can reach the point of becoming a conscious expresser of me, of my divine idea. The example of Christ's love and compassion, which I manifested in that life, you also have to express, at least up to a certain point in your life, before you can taste the fruits of that love, which is actually not love, but the Holy Trinity. Love, wisdom, power, which is the true expression of my impersonal life. You have so far not understood the meaning of impersonal life, and therefore cannot know what is meant by impersonal love. Love for you, if you analyze this feeling well, has always been an emotion, a human expression. You cannot conceive the idea of a love devoid of and detached from some human and personal interest. But now, as you begin to feel me in your heart, and to open it to contain me, I will fill you with a new, strange, wonderful feeling, which will make every fiber of your being vibrate with a creative instinct that will be for you a true elixir of life. For in the outward expression of that feeling, when I in such a way spread it into the world through you, you will taste the ineffable sweetness of my sacred impersonal love, with the enlightenment of mind and the consciousness of unlimited power accompanying it, and it will make you a completely selfless, and therefore perfect, channel for the impersonal expression of my divine idea. Then you will realize that you are part of me, and every other being, that everything you have and are is not yours, but mine, to use wherever and however I intend. Your life will no longer be centered on yourself, but yourself will be lost, merged with your other selves, and you will give your life, your knowledge, your strength, your substance, which are only the phases of my impersonal life and my impersonal love, that I have imparted to you only for such use. In the personality of Jesus, the Christ, I manifested much impersonal love, enough to inspire and lead you to try to emulate his life and impersonality, and through these attempts and efforts, awaken the Christ consciousness within you. By means of this awakening, and with the understanding that the Christ is only a channel, a door opening to me, I have finally brought you to the point where you can enter my impersonal life and consciously become a part of it. But I tell you clearly here that my impersonal love has nothing to do with personal lives and loves. All these are merely external means that I employ to spread from the heart of humanity my real love into the world, where it ceaselessly manifests its life-giving, creative, uplifting, and all-embracing power. My love takes no account of individuals or personalities. They are but pawns on the chessboard of life, and I move them as I see fit to fulfill my intent, that is, the full and complete expression of my divine idea in humanity. Only in humanity can I express my idea precisely as you can express your idea of yourself only through your human personality. In humanity I live, move, and have my being. It is the human personality, the body of my immortal self, precisely as your personality and body are the means by which you express your being. All individual human personalities, with their bodies, are only the cells of my body of humanity. And precisely as the I Am now constructs your body, so that it can perfectly express my idea of you, that is, your real self, so I construct degree by degree humanity, so that it can perfectly express my idea of myself. To the extent that the individual cells of my body of humanity, precisely like those of your human body, participating in my life become impersonal and harmonious parts of the organs they form, they live a healthy and happy life. But if one cell opposes and acts contrary to the general law of that organ, the harmonious functioning of that organ becomes impossible. The whole body suffers the effect of the imbalance, and sickness occurs. Every cell of every organ is an integral part of it, and its work is necessary for the perfect functioning of that organ and the perfect health of my body. So that if each cell does not yield all its energy, all its intelligence, which are only attributes of the life I give it, thus contributing to the perfect functioning of my whole body, the only result that can come from it is disharmony with its consequences: disease, suffering, sin, bondage, misery, lack of understanding, disintegration, death. Similarly, if each organ does not offer all the intelligence and all the energies with which I have endowed it, for the sole purpose of expressing and maintaining the life of my body in perfect health, the only possible result is disorganization, dissolution, rebellion, and finally war. War between the various organs and between their respective cells, and a greater or lesser state of chaos throughout my body. In my body of humanity, this would mean war between the nations, which are the organs. And since any war is only an acute disease, that is, disharmony, and since my life manifesting in humanity as impersonal love can only express itself in harmony, precisely as in your physical body, it continually uses, compensates, and prepares the necessary conditions to express itself harmoniously. It does this by little eradicating from the various organs of the body the cells that are sick, weak, or maladapted to their work, or by causing disease in an acute, malignant form, such as fever, dropsy, carbuncle, infection, or degeneration in the physical body, and thus quickly expels the harmful cells by the billions until the organ is purified or destroyed. In other words, real life and the work of each cell is to give up its individual life so that my body can be and express itself in perfect harmony. When each cell and each organ have no idea other than this and becomes pure and selfless channels through which my impersonal life can flow, then my divine body becomes a harmonious and perfect whole, and my idea can express its divine powers and possibilities on earth, as it does in the heavenly realm of the eternal. To the extent that you abandon yourself completely to me, so that I through you pour out my sacred impersonal love, having no other thought than the perfect expression of that love which is my real life, to that extent I will be able through you little by little to stimulate and awaken those around you to the recognition of me, the Christ within them, so that they too will surrender their selves completely to me, until the organ or that special part of my body of humanity that you and they form attain health and harmony and unite their contribution to the elaboration and maintenance of the perfect health of my body. When that time comes, my divine life force, i.e., my impersonal love, will flow and manifest itself through all humanity, and my idea will be fully expressed on earth as in heaven, and the earth and all earthly bodies will no longer be of gross physical matter as before, but will have completely purified themselves of egoism and will be raised back to the state from which they descended. For the purpose of their creation, that is, the development of organisms suitable for the external manifestation and human expression of my divine idea will be attained, and no longer needing external or human intermediaries for such expression, I will create and express myself only with mind, which is the only necessary medium in the heavenly world of impersonal life. The discovery of me. O you who have diligently studied what I have told you so far, and who think you have had a glimpse of me but are not quite sure, draw near and listen with your soul to what I now have to tell you. Be calm, and know I am God. If you have learned to remain calm, if you have studied and meditated over this self as the God within you, if you know how to distinguish it from the personal self, and if you are sometimes conscious of stepping out, as it were, from your personality and from the point of view of your human self as it is, of seeing its weaknesses, pettiness, defects, low selfishness, animal appetites and passions, puerile desires, foolish vanities and pride. If you can do all this and have discerned such things with clear vision, know that in those moments you were in consciousness with me, that it was your real self, the I within you, that allowed you to see with my eyes the reality of things. In those moments you were free from your personality and dwelt in my consciousness, calling it cosmic, universal, spiritual, or impersonal, as you wish, for you could not have seen these things in you except through impersonal eyes of mine. Still looking back over your life, you will remember being urged many times to do certain things, some of which yielded excellent results. Other times you argued against the impulse and the intellect led you to act differently, and always then with failure, disappointment, and suffering. This impelling consciousness was your real self, the I within you guiding you in those moments, telling you clearly what you had to do. In those moments you listened with your spiritual ears, with my ears, and when you impersonally obeyed, success and satisfaction followed. While when you thought you knew better, defeat, remorse, unhappiness came. Again, at times you felt the approach of some event, or the proximity of some unseen person, or disharmonious vibrations at the contact of others. This is the real that you feel with your spiritual or impersonal consciousness, which, if only you knew it, you would know that it is always alert to protect you, watch you and advise you around all external things, conditions, and events. I point you to all these things in order to impress well upon you that it is I, within you, in your spiritual body, the perfect inner body, where I dwell, who thus speak to you, who advise you, instruct you, protect you, and warn you in all the affairs of life. Yes, in every little detail. And only that you will turn to me and attend, studying them carefully, to these impressions that you receive every moment, and learn to trust in them, to serve me, to rest in me, putting all your faith in me. I will truly guide you in all your ways. I will solve for you all your problems. I will make all your work easy, and you will be led among verdant pastures, beyond the still waters of life. Ah, my son, if you would employ only a 10th part of the energy you waste in searching outside, among the shells of human knowledge and human teachings, in resolute efforts directed within, to find me. If you would devote only 1 hour a day to me alone, imagining and practicing my presence within you, I promise you here that not only soon, very soon you will find me, but that it will be for you an inexhaustible source of such wisdom, strength, and help, which your human mind now cannot even comprehend. Yes, only that you want to seek me like this, giving me first place in your life, and if you do not give yourself rest until you have found me, it will not be long before you will become aware of my presence and my loving voice constantly speaking to you from the depths of your soul. Then you will learn to come to me in sweet communion. You will gradually find yourself dwelling in my consciousness, and you will find that my word dwells in you, that whatever you desire will be miraculously granted to you. But this abiding continually in me will be difficult at first, for the world, the flesh, and the devil are still very powerful in your consciousness. But little by little you will become accustomed to using my impersonal eyes, and soon you will be able to discern in the reality of things and also in the reality of these apparent lords of the earth. Then you will find that you dwell in a wonderful new world, populated by angelic beings, who use the flesh bodies of human personalities only as vehicles, or instruments, or garments, to come into contact with the earthly conditions and experiences that they have created, for the purpose of developing the qualities of soul necessary for the perfect expression of my idea on earth. In your eyes there will be no more shadows, no more evils, and therefore no demons, for all is light, love, freedom, happiness, and peace, and you will see me in everything, and in every being some attribute of me. You will only have to let my love radiate in your heart, and it will illuminate for you the real meaning of what you see. then the great fact will come to pass. You will understand that you have found the kingdom of God and that you are walking in it, that it is right here on this earth, that it is manifested everywhere around you, and that you have lived in it until now without knowing it, that instead of being outside in some remote place, it is within you, within every other being, in the innermost of all manifested things. In other words, you will find that it is the reality of all things, and that all outward appearances are only shadows of this reality, created by man's erroneous concept and his belief that he is separate from me. Having found the kingdom, you will find your place in it. You will understand that you are, in truth, one of my divine attributes, that your work was all established for you from the beginning, and that everything that came before was only a preparation, an adaptation of your personality to that work. And your whole soul will leap, foretasting the joy of returning, after such a long pilgrimage, to my home, of entering at last into my real life. One in consciousness with me and with other selves of yours, all working out the last perfect expression of my idea on earth. O you, whose reading this has awakened memories of former joys and whose soul has vibrated in response, do not leave these words until you have learned all that I have to say. Be calm, listen to my inner voice, and learn what splendors await you, if you are able to see with impersonal eyes and hear with impersonal understanding. But if the reading of this procures for you for the first time the vision of my reality within you and of my kingdom, arousing vibrations that raise you to a temporary spiritual ecstasy, and you resolve to attempt to dwell always in this consciousness of me and to obey me always, do not be discouraged if you fail ignominiously at the first opportunity to prove the sincerity and strength of your resolution. For only by dint of trial and failure, and by deeply imbuing you with your lack of strength and ability to rest and trust in me, can I awaken in you the consciousness of my divine powers that are always waiting to manifest themselves through you. These high vibrations are the arising of certain qualities of the soul that must be awakened before I can manifest those powers. Of course, when those qualities are awakened, they attract the active opposition of certain other qualities that hitherto had unchallenged reign in your nature, and which must be overpowered and subjugated before the soul qualities can freely manifest. This opposition has no other purpose than to reinforce, test, and perfect the expression of those qualities of the soul, for they must be able to withstand every attack from without, before they can fully manifest all my divine powers that propel from within. But know that I manifest these powers precisely to the extent that you can endure them and keep yourself strong. The mistake you make is trying to grow you. I am the tree of life within you. My life wants and needs to be pushed forward, but it does this by gradual and steady development. You cannot come to the fruit unless you have completed the due development. But remember this, life is continually building you up into the perfection of health, strength, and beauty in which it can express itself externally, as it is already expressing itself internally. You who have begun to realize that I am within you, but have not yet learned to communicate with me, listen and learn now. You have learned to quiet the mind, and have perhaps felt my presence within you. If so, realizing that I am there, ask me a question. Then, with unspoken prayer to me, for I answer you, without anxiety, worry, or self-interest, and with a perfectly empty mind, wait for the impression to come. If in response comes a thought that you recognize that you have heard or read somewhere, immediately dismiss it by saying, "No, Father, what do you say?" Other thoughts may come to you from other human sources, but you are vigilant. You will immediately recognize them as such and refuse to accept them. Then, if you persist in asking me, you will finally get an answer that you feel is really mine. This is how it will happen in the beginning. But when you have learned to distinguish my voice from all others, and can completely silence your own self-interest, then you will be able at will to maintain a silent communion with me, without interference from ideas, beliefs, and opinions coming from others. You will then be able to address questions to me at your pleasure, or others may question you about any problem in which they need help, and I will at that moment put into your mind the words you need to say, either silently to yourself or audibly through you to the other. And you, my beloved, who have consecrated yourself to me and tend with every effort to attain union with me, but who have found instead that every support in the world has withdrawn from you, or is about to withdraw, and that you are without money, without friends, and do not know where to turn for human help. Know, O Blessed One from me, that you are now very, very close, and that if you only continue to dwell in me, letting my word dwell in you and guide you, resting and trusting absolutely in my promise, I will soon bring you a joy, a fulfillment, a peace that human words and human minds cannot portray. For you have obeyed my commands, you have trusted in me, you have sought first my kingdom and my righteousness, and therefore I will add to you all other things, even those things that the world has denied you. And you, my dear one, who have also consecrated yourself to me, but who still hold to some worldly law, and cannot abandon it and trust fully in me. You to whom therefore I have brought failure, disillusionment, and even poverty, to teach you the real value of all worldly things, their impermanence, their powerlessness to give happiness, to teach you that they have nothing to do with my real life. You, dear son, who cannot yet see this, and whose heart is full of anxiety and fear, because you do not know where tomorrow's bread will come from, or the money for the next rent, or for the bill of exchange you have to pay. Listen once again to my words that I spoke to you long ago in the Sermon on the Mount. Therefore I say to you, do not take thought about tomorrows, what you will eat, or how you will cover your body. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow, nor reap, nor gather, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are not you from more than they? Which of you by worrying can add a cubit to your stature? And why do you give yourselves thought about your garments? Look at the lilies of the field, how they grow. They do not toil nor weave. Yet I say to you that not even Solomon in his splendor was dazzled as one of them. Therefore, if God so clothes the grass of the field, that today as tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, O you men of little faith? Give ye therefore no thought, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we clothe ourselves with? For your heavenly Father knows that you have need of these things. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. Therefore do not give yourselves thought about tomorrow, for tomorrow will think of itself. Each day's punishment is enough. Do you need more precise command or more precise promise than this? O you who have consecrated yourself to me and who call yourself my disciple, listen. Have I not hitherto provided everything for you? Have you ever been in need that I have not come to your aid at just the right time? Has there ever been a time when things seemed dark and when I did not bring light? Can you, with what you know now, look back on your life and see in what you would have disposed better? Would you trade your spiritual understanding with the earthly possessions of anyone you know? And have I not done all this, though you have always rebelled, refusing to listen to me throughout your life? Ah, my children, do you not see that money, house, clothing, food, and their purchase are only accidents, and have nothing to do with your real life, except for that much that you make them real, thinking that they are of great importance and leaving me to be only a secondary thing? And if it becomes necessary for me to take away the things of the world from you, so that you may learn the truth, that I am the only important thing in life, that I must be first if you truly love me, I do so, like the doctor who, in order to bring the patient to health, first removes the cause of the disease, so that you may achieve real and lasting happiness and prosperity. And this also applies to you, my son, who have lost your health, your courage, your self-mastery, and after strenuous years of searching outside at the doctors and at the medicines of the earth, faithfully following every instruction and suggestion given to you, to recover your lost life, you have finally turned to me within, with the faint hope that I can help you. Know, my child, that you too must come in complete surrender to me, the one and only physician who can truly heal you. For I am the almighty life within you. I am your health, your strength, your vitality. And you cannot enjoy real and lasting health until you can feel me within you and know that I am all that for you. And now, my children, draw near, for I am about to tell you by what means all these things are obtained. In the words that follow is the great secret. Blessed is the one who finds it. Be calm. And know, I am God. Know that I am in you, that I am you, that I am your life. All wisdom, all love, all power in this life freely flowing now through your whole being. I am the life, the intelligence, and the force in essence, in the cells of your body, in the cells of all matter, mineral, vegetable, animal. I am in you and in them. Through me everything they have or are is yours, and you can take it. Speak to them in my name, and they will answer you. Rise, O you who aspire to union with me, receive thy divine heritage. Unfold thy soul and inhale my breath of life. I fill you to such a degree with my strength that it overflows from every part, that every fiber, every nerve, every cell, every atom of your being is now consciously alive with me, with my health, with my strength, with my intelligence, with my being. For I am within you, and we are not separate, nor could we ever be, since I am you. Wake up, assert your sovereignty, know yourself and your powers. All that I have is yours. My life flows through you so that you can take from it as much as you want, as much as you command. Imagine this and think it. Know it. With all the positive force of your nature, utter the creative word. It will not return to you empty. But know, O beloved, that this cannot be until you have come to me in absolute abandonment, and have given into my custody yourself, your affairs, your life, and until you have placed all care and all responsibility on me, in me alone resting and trusting. When you have done this, the words I have already spoken to you will stimulate to active life my divine powers latent in your soul. You will be aware of a mighty force within you which, to the extent that you dwell in me, and let my words dwell in you, will smooth all paths for you, give you everything you desire, and free you forever from all pain. Then there will be no more doubts or questions. You will know that I, God, your true self, will always provide and show the way. You will have found that you and I are one. The union. O you who sincerely desire to consecrate yourself to me and are willing to give your whole life to me, renouncing all your personal ideas, all your hopes, all your personal purposes, so that I may express through you freely and fully my impersonal idea. Listen carefully to these words. I have led you through all your experiences up to this point. If you are now really ready and willing to serve me, if you have learned that you, from you, can know nothing and can do nothing, and that the I am and what you call your intelligence, your strength and substance, are really mine. If you have learned that it is I who direct all your thoughts, and that I not only make you do what you do, but I give you the ability to do it, then you can understand the meaning of my words and are fully prepared to obey them. I have so far brought you precisely the experiences that could teach you these things. But now, if you are ready and worthy, you can consciously work with me and look forward with joy and also calmly to each new experience, knowing that in it are contained wonderful expressions of my intent, which I want to make completely clear to you, and which will bring you into ever more intimate and loving union with me. Thus, all experiences will henceforth be blessings, instead of trials or endeavors or karmic effects of previous acts. For in each one I will unfold to you the grand vision of my reality, that of your wonderful self, until you no longer have any disposition to follow any of your former desires, but seek only to know my desires and to please me. This will manifest itself in many new ways. In your activities, whatever they may be, you will no longer worry about the task at hand and will do whatever comes your way, knowing that it is what I require of you, and you will always and only strive to please me by acting impersonally, which will enable me to fulfill my will expeditiously. Even in your affairs you will find that I am present. For it is I who procure those affairs for you, whatever they may be, not so that in them you may succeed or fail, nor so that in them you may toil or accumulate wealth for your descendants, or lose all that you possess, or never succeed in accumulating anything. No, but so that through success or failure, through the lack in you of ambition or special abilities, I may awaken your heart to the realization of me, the impersonal one who dwells within, who inspires and directs all these things you do, waiting for you to consciously participate in true success and accept the real riches I have in store for you. You will then learn that your affairs, your work, the conditions of your life are only accidents, that is, external vehicles that I choose and employ to lead you through certain experiences that I deem the most suitable to bring you to such realization and, at the same time, to vivify in you certain qualities of the soul that it now expresses only imperfectly. Only that you know that I dwell thus in your heart, that you feel that I accompany you to your office, your store, your work, whatever it may be, and allow me to direct your affairs and attitudes. I tell you in truth that when you have done this, you will immediately become conscious of a new power within you, a power that will flow from you as a sweet, gentle sympathy, a true sense of brotherhood, a loving understanding toward everyone with whom you come in contact, that will inspire them with higher principles in business and life, and create in them an aspiration to spread similar influence in their environment, a power that will attract business, money, friends, and an abundance of all the things you need, a power that will put you in communication with the highest realms of thought, making you able to clearly glimpse and consciously manifest all my impersonal powers, all my attributes in every moment of your life. Then you will no longer feel the need to go to church or religious meetings of any kind, or even to read the teachings of my revelations for the purpose of finding me and worshiping me. Instead, you will turn inward and find me always there, and you will be so filled with the joy of communing with me and serving me and worshiping me so, that you will care about nothing else but listening to me and obeying my voice and feeling the tremor of my tender love, as it fills you and makes you fruitful, and prepares the ways and mitigates and eases the conditions wherever you go and whatever you do. I will make you an uplifting influence, a leaven in the community wherever I send you. I will draw everyone to me and to receive my blessing through you. Become able to put your personality at the service of my holy impersonality, so that they will forget you and see me alone, and feel the stimulus of my presence in their hearts, so that they can leave with a new light in their eyes and a sense of a new purpose in their lives. In your house especially I will dwell. Through those closest to you I will teach you many wonderful things that you can now understand, whereas before you furiously rebelled against their truth. Through the husband, the wife, the son, the brother, the sister, the relative, especially through the despot, the grumpy one, the selfish one, I will be able to develop in you the great qualities of patience, forbearance, dominion of the tongue, loving kindness, true unselfishness and understanding, intellect of the heart. For I will make you see that I deeply within their hearts compel their personalities to give precisely what your personality attracts with its own weaknesses. Now you will be able to appreciate this and profit from it. When you truly understand this great truth, you will be able to see in your brother, or your wife, or your relative, or your child, me calling to you with loving, sorrowful eyes, while they speak to you thoughtlessly, or selfishly, or in the fury of anger. Instead of blaming them, you will turn to me within, the impersonal one, who will speak through your mild, loving, kind words, which will immediately soften the hearts of others and unite you with them better than before. For I, the real I in everyone's heart, am one, and I always respond when you address me in this way. Yes, if only you could know. The greatest school for you and your greatest teacher are in your home, at your hearth. Much, much is reserved for those who consciously know this and who allow me, the impersonal one within, to teach. For I alone will teach you many things by the mouth of those closest to you, but similarly through you I will teach them. But with this difference, if you are conscious of me and rest impersonally in me and in my wisdom, then you will allow me to choose your words and direct your actions. You will give no thought to their effects on others or on yourself, and you will place all your responsibility on me. When you are able to do this, you will marvel at the changes you will notice in your own personality and the personalities of your loved ones, and eventually you will be able to see behind their human personalities. Me, your own impersonal self, shining in their eyes. When you can see me like this, the heavens will open for you, and you will no longer see faults in your brother, nor will you feel disharmony around you, nor harshness coming from your fellow human beings. For you will know that I, the impersonal one within others, am the source of all perfection, all harmony, all loving kindness, and that I am only waiting for the human personality to make the recognizement, to stand subduedly aside and let my light radiate in all the splendor of my divine idea. Then you will see that all the conditions I put you in are places I have chosen where you can best serve me. For in all places and in all conditions there is much, much to be done, and that the more unpleasant they succeed to the personality, the more there is need of my living presence. Wherever you are when awakening takes place, whatever your training has been, in business, in a profession, in manual labor, in the church, or in the lower world, there is your best opportunity to serve, for there you know the way to behave. How can my and your other selves awaken to the knowledge of my inner presence without the stimulating influence that must first come from outside? You who have received must give. You who have been enlivened must become enliveners. You must bring into business, profession, work, the world around you, my living presence. You must open the doors of sorrowful and sick hearts, and let my light and healing love pour into them. You must be the leaven that will leaven the mass. If the conditions of these hearts are to be lifted, it is up to you, my awakened ones, to bring to these ignorant, betrayed, and deluded ones my inspiration, my blessing, my strength, so that they may rise up, repel far from the influence of the world, listen to my inner voice, and henceforth be the masters of the surrounding conditions, and no longer the slaves. No condition in life can be raised or mastered by escaping from it. Divine touch is necessary and must be provided, but it can only be given by one who has plumbed the depths and reached the pinnacles of human experience, with me as guide and interpreter. O you who read and whose soul understands, be blessed, and the work you have to do be before you. But you who still doubt, while your personality trembles with fear, as the light filters through your clouded intellect, you too will soon partake of my blessings, for I quickly prepare you for the joy that awaits you. But all of you who understand, and you who fear, know that even now I manifest my will through you, and that the time will surely come in which you will know no will but mine, and in which all things that you will be. But this will happen only when you yourselves have become one with me. As long as nothing remains in your personality that can attract from others the slightest disharmonious thought or feeling, because of an act or word of yours, you will then proceed spreading blessings around you. Wherever you go, my light and love will radiate around you, creating peace, concord, unity. But the best thing, though natural when you can understand it, is that everyone will be better and happier because of the fact that you have appeared in their lives. For the I am in them, who while still in the flesh has found and felt within you a true impersonal medium of expression, therefore feels, although their personality is unconscious of it, the splendor and sanctity of my impersonal life. I am the only begotten proceeding from the Father and the Virgin Mother, eternal parent matrix of the universe. I dwell in the heart, in the innermost depths of all things manifested. Of those who argue, I am the argument. This recording of I Am, the Words of Count Saint-Germain by Count Saint-Germain was presented by Stargate Book. Sound recording copyright 2024 and produced by Stargate Book 2024. All rights are reserved.